Prepare for takeoff, my friend. The astrology of April is all systems go. After an intense Mercury retrograde, Mercury is finally leaving Pisces and it will move into fiery, go-getting Aries. In fact, all planets will be direct in April, giving us new momentum. Plus, we have just begun the astrological new year, which has its own fresh start, new beginnings energy. But there is a theme of hot intensity as well. By mid-month, we're going to have 7 planetary energies in risk-taking, let's forge new territory, Aries. Not only this, we're also going to have 6 planetary conjunctions in Aries, the highest octave of which is jumpstarting a new dream, vision, goal, project, something that is really inspiring us. It could feel like a soul's calling. But wait, there's more. Uranus, the Great Awakener, is finally leaving Taurus and re-entering Gemini to stay until 2033. And these are just some of the most important transits of April 2026. So you will definitely want to watch part 1 of this video before jumping to your 12-sign horoscopes, where I will share the key transits of the month and tips for navigating them with the most ease and grace. And then in part 2, I will do your monthly horoscopes and pull an oracle card for each of the signs as well. If you have just found the channel, I want to extend a very warm welcome to you. I am so glad that you have found us. This is a like-minded community. If you're highly sensitive on a spiritual path or you want to feel inspired and empowered through Western tropical astrology, you are in the right place. Take a moment right now to tap that subscribe button so that we stay connected and you don't miss a video. Welcome back to all of you lovely, loyal people who've been watching my videos. If you haven't yet subscribed, will you please take a moment right now to do so? It makes a huge difference. And if we're just meeting for the first time, I'm Betsy. I am a psychic astrologer, intuitive life coach, and the author of The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. It is my passion and dedication to meet you on Zoom for live one-on-one astrology consultations and clarity coaching sessions. So if getting a personal reading intrigues you, stay tuned till the end of this video. I will tell you more about my offerings and I have a free gift for you. So stay tuned till the end to find out what that is and how you can get it. And if you'd like to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates, the astrology between videos, you can go to my website, subscribe to get those for free, and you will get my free instant download gift right away. We begin the month with the sun in fiery, go-getting Aries. This is pure passion, my friend. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is connected to our drive, our passion, our motivation. So this is a month that you could really feel that desire within you, surging, getting up off the couch and getting going. It could be a breakthrough month for you if you have felt stagnant or stuck at all. Because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it rules spring, it jumpstarts a season, it's cardinal energy. It really can get us moving. In Aries energy, we want to ask, what is our burning desire? It's the fire burning in the belly. But there's also a learning curve because Aries naturally, and we're all feeling this, you don't have to have strong Aries in your chart to feel this. The Aries energy itself inherently wants to try new things, go into new territory, take chances, make mistakes, get messy, as Ms. Frizzle on the Magic School Bus so beautifully puts it. So this is a month to be willing, open, willing, available to saying yes to something that you may not know how to do at first. It may require you to venture into uncharted territory to rise to the occasion of a challenge, but fire energy is of the spirit. So spirit, your spirit, the divine, are guiding us. We are being guided with passion, exhilaration for some of you, enthusiasm. If you feel any of that, what would I say yes to if I weren't afraid? That's a great way to tap into this energy. Keep in mind that the lower octave of Aries energy, however, is frustration, anger, conflict, fighting, war, violence. And of course, we're already seeing that very much in the collective. So on a personal level, it's really important to pause, take a breath, and process any anger or frustration before we have that conversation or do anything that's just going to escalate anger or fear. Because Aries is associated with the hero's journey, there are highs and lows and detours with every Aries project, goal, or adventure. So it helps me to remember, at least try to remember, that regardless of how this turns out, regardless of where I end up, whether or not I quote unquote succeed, and believe me, in Aries energy, we really do want to succeed. We want to get that golden ring. But regardless of what happens and whether we get there or how we get there, in Aries energy, the journey itself is meant to be the destination. So I spent a little time on Aries energy because keep in mind that we have so many energies, so many planets in Aries this month of April. That energy is going to be an overarching atmospheric kind of, it will set the tone. It will set the tone. So courage, bravery, boldness, they are very much favored and supported this month of April. Now on April 1st or 2nd, depending on your time zone, we are going to have a full moon in the opposite sign of Aries, a full moon in Libra. Libra is an air energy. It's also cardinal. It's also go-getting, but we tend to feel this energy more in our relationships, in any kind of love matters, and overall in our life where we want to restore balance, where things have been out of balance, where we need more equilibrium and harmony. I have a separate video for you on this full moon in Libra where I do a deep dive, so I encourage you to watch that. That will be linked at the end of this video. But big picture, keep in mind that because Libra is the scales and there is sort of this weighing and balancing, there is some likelihood of karmic endings, completions, rebalancing, so to speak, divine justice especially. And you could have a truth come to light, some sort of revelation, something that you did not see coming that has to do with a relationship, with love, beauty, resources, or your priorities. This could happen during this full moon for sure. And it's an important full moon to remember to draw boundaries. We do get a lovely aspect from Mercury to Jupiter. It is a trine. Trines are the most harmonious transits that we can have. And this is really favorable for expansive, optimistic communication, healing, bonding in relationship, anything that will make us feel more emotionally secure. This is a great full moon to use words of affirmation to deepen bonds with people that you care about, with loved ones. Now, on April 3rd, Venus, which just entered Taurus at the very end of March, Venus will be in Taurus for a good 3 weeks of this month until the 23rd when it moves into Gemini. Venus in Taurus is going to make a square to Pluto in Aquarius. A Venus square Pluto is a tense aspect. I speak more about this in my Libra full moon video. It's emotionally challenging. It muddies the waters. There are gray areas. Think of relationships where we say it's complicated. That's very Venus square Pluto. It can be where you have a strong draw to somebody, but in some way they are emotionally unavailable. So we really want to be aware of what is most important to us. Pluto energy can be dependencies. It can be where we say yes to something even though it's not quite right for us. It's the crumbs, not the whole cookie. Is that really what you want? That's something that may come up for you around the beginning of April. It's a time to be fiercely honest with ourselves and to say no to good enough, money, beauty, pleasure, comforts, relationships. If what we truly want in our heart of hearts is great love or a great outcome within our finances, you get the idea. On April 8th, before Mars leaves Pisces and enters Aries, it will make a sextile to Uranus and Taurus, doing its very last pass. This is wonderful, Mars sextile Uranus. It is wonderful for getting going, getting into action. Mars, whatever is pulling you forward, whatever you are feeling motivated to do. This is Mars energy. It's Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, so it could be cleaning something up. It could be getting your taxes done, clearing out your basement, cutting ties to a relationship or situation that isn't good for you. But whatever action you take, a sextile to Uranus in Taurus is a solution, an opportunity, an action that we take that is often spurred on by an epiphany, an aha moment, all with the goal, at least from the universe and your higher self, the goal is to free and liberate you, my friend. Uranus is when we get those light bulb moments. We have a quantum leap. We have something come up that was completely unexpected, but it's like a fresh breeze blowing in. So this is a really beautiful aspect. And then the next day, the very next day, April 9th, Mars is going to leave Pisces and enter Aries. I'm smiling big because I love Mars and Aries, not just because I personally have Mars and Aries in my natal chart. It does help me set good boundaries, I have to say that. But Mars does very well in Aries. It's at home here. And in short, it helps us to be passionate, fired up risk takers. It helps us to imagine and gather the courage, because there is a gathering of courage. I mean, I can say this with Mars in Aries in my natal chart. I do come up with some pretty scary ideas that really excite me, but I have to gather the courage. It's not like I just say, oh, that's really scary, I'm going to do that right now. But Mars and Aries can really light the fire in your belly. It can really inspire you and give you the energy to say yes to something that may feel like a pipe dream. It may feel like I don't have any idea how I'm going to make this happen or whether I can succeed, but I'm going to do it anyway. It could feel like a soul's calling for sure. The lower octave of Mars and Aries can be burnout. It can be mishandling conflict. So releasing your anger and frustration, I know I said it before, I'll probably say it a few times during this video. We've got so many energies that could really build the frustration inside of us. For a lot of you, you might notice this month that you're working out harder, that you have more energy to release. You need to move your body or do more strengthening, dance your prayers, whatever it takes. On April 12th, Mars in Aries is going to come together with Neptune in Aries. The most divine expression of Neptune is our soul's longing, what your heart wants most now, something that you feel is very, very important in your life to your happiness, a new vision, a new dream. And I've been talking about Neptune and Aries for some time now. I have a separate video for you on this transit. This is the transit Neptune and Aries that marks the beginning of the new era. The activations of this new dream, my friend, that got started in March when the Sun and Venus activated Neptune. Now in April, Mars and Mercury are going to activate Neptune. And every time, and when somebody asked me in the comments, what do you mean by activate? Every time a transiting planet speaks to Neptune, and in this case it's a conjunction, that means technically they are on the same page. Technically they're working together. And this can be one of the most intense activations, a conjunction, especially when it's Mars. Mars, the planet of action, but also it can be conflict and force, pressure, pushing, striving, using energy that actually drains us and is ultimately to our detriment. Neptune can also sometimes be disappointment and disillusionment and feeling deflated, like what happened to my dream? It's not happening now. So keep that in mind when Mars makes a conjunction to Neptune. These are short-lived transits, but they bring us back to what is that dream? How's it going? Am I giving attention to what my heart really desires? And if any of these lower octave energies come up, I have a question for you to ask, which is, what would love do here? What would the highest octave of love, compassion, especially self-compassion, do here? That can really help us to move, process any emotions that come up at this time. On April 13th, we have quite a significant transit, and this is Mercury in Pisces crossing over the 29th degree points before it leaves Pisces and enters Aries the next day. This is the same degree point, this 28-29, of the Pisces new moon that we had, I believe it was February 18th. That new moon was helping us to shed the old story, the old way of thinking, an outmoded way of being. So now here comes Mercury again, crossing over that degree point. It's like a check-in point. And when it does so, this is kind of magical and synchronistic. It will make a sextile. That's an opportunity, a solution, a workaround. That's us tapping into the creative cosmic intelligence. It will make a sextile to Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus could be bringing you a breakthrough. It could be bringing you a freeing, liberating moment based on some revelation or new information, news, a conversation, a communication that you get from another person that changes the way you see something, or maybe changes the way you see yourself. Maybe it has you seeing with new eyes. Divine downloads are very possible as Mercury crosses over this very last degree point of Pisces and then enters Aries the next day. And so my encouragement for this transit around April 13th, and we can feel all these transits a day before, a day after. This transit says open up to new possibilities and remember that you always have options. Be willing to start fresh. Be willing to start over. Be willing to believe in yourself, my friend, which I know is not always easy, especially when we are entering this new soul territory. We have not been here before. This is brand new. The astrology says our souls even have not been here before. So of course fear is going to come up. Of course we are going to have some trepidation. If we are truly coming from an inspiration of the soul, this could feel like a pipe dream. It could feel like an impossible dream. And if you've ever done anything like what you want to do, but it didn't go well, it didn't turn out the way you wanted to, maybe you would call it a past loss or a failure, then it's even more likely that you might be afraid to venture into that same or similar territory again. And so we are meant to purge those fears and process any emotions that are keeping us from saying yes to what we most want going forward. And to let the past go and to release the old story. Easier said than done, I know. Now, on the same day, which is really going to help us to move forward, we have Venus sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter is optimism, hope, expansive energy. And Venus is beauty, love, money, pleasure, comforts, all the delicious things in life. A sextile is an opportunity or a solution or a new way of doing something that comes to light that we didn't see before. So the planet of love, money, relationships, beauty, harmonizing with the planet of optimism, good fortune, and blessings. This is quite fortuitous, especially on the same day that Mercury is harmonizing with Uranus. And that would be a great day to get together with someone that you care about, that you love, maybe for a romantic kind of date, or just being with people that you enjoy spending time with. Now, the next day, April 14th, Mercury will move on and enter fiery Aries. This is a new day. This is a dawn of something new. No question. I absolutely love Mercury entering Aries. But I also love that 2 days later, on April 16th, Pluto in Aquarius, and Pluto is a very strong, passionate energy when it's making a harmonizing aspect to another planet. It is passion, sometimes to the point of obsession, often connected to something that we don't want to be without or live without. It can be very ambitious, Pluto's energy. So on April 16th, Pluto in Aquarius, might be connected for you to a goal, a dream, especially regarding wealth, community building, technology, an idea or a new possibility that seems really out there, revolutionary for you, or very much outside the box. Mars in Aries is going to make a harmonious sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. And I have 3 words for this, and that is powered by passion. Powered by passion. You could even feel like, I have to have this. I have to make this happen. This has to work out. It could be a goal that you've been working on for some time now, because Pluto's been in Aquarius for a while now. And whichever house it's in for you could be an area of your life that you have really been working on in a foundational way, building, planning, envisioning what you want in this Aquarius house of your chart. So as of April 16th, the energy that I get is the party is on. I am powered by passion. And 2 days later, on the 18th, Mercury is going to sextile Pluto. So we get a Mars sextile to Pluto, and then Mercury follows up with its own sextile to Pluto, and Mercury's communication, conversations, plans, movement. So your passion could be taken up a notch as you discuss your plans or your passion or what you want with one or more others. No doubt this is moving forward energy. And then on top of all of this, the next day on April 17th, we have the new moon in Aries, which is reflecting on your bold, new vision, dream, heart's desire, soul's longing, calling for many of you. A new adventure that probably is going to feel like a hero's journey. And this is where we'll have, including the sun and the moon, 7 planets in fiery, bold, courageous, nothing's going to stop me, Aries. My friend, my most important encouragement for you for this new moon is choose something as you are reflecting on this new manifestational cycle, as every new moon is. Choose something that lights your fire. This is fire energy, Aries. 7 planets in Aries. We have to be inspired. We have to be lit up by whatever it is that we want to co-create. Between this new moon and the full moon 2 weeks later, which I'll talk about when I do May's astrology, but also this new moon, it's going to come to fruition 6 months after. It doesn't mean that you can't have some wonderful things happen around this goal, vision, or dream between the new moon and even 2 weeks later, the full moon. But it's the full moon that happens 6 months later where we often say, okay, that dream, that goal, it's completed. I've done it. And I will do a separate video for you on this new moon in Aries, but I'll tell you right now that it's happening at 27 degrees of Aries. So those of you who have planets or points between 23 and 29 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, you will feel this new moon most intensely, most personally, as well as those of you who have planets or points between 0 and 1 degrees of the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo. Now, something to keep in mind with this new moon is that because we have so many energies in Aries, and Mars will be approaching a conjunction to Saturn, which will be exact 2 days after the new moon. So it will be exact on the 19th. But Mars, Saturn coming together, that can be a real push-pull. That can be conflict for sure. It could feel like a battle of the wills. Mars wants to go. Mars in Aries is like, let's do this thing. Saturn is often a delay or a no, or hey, I'm the one in charge and I'm not giving my okay to this. Some authority figure pulling rank, so to speak. And that, of course, could be a recipe for conflict, or it could be 2 parts of yourself, an inner conflict going on. On the other hand, it can also be such strong energy that has you able to power through a project. Saturn can be work. Saturn can be your to-do list. Mars can be like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. There's so much work. Maybe you put off your taxes and you filed for an extension, but then you're like, no, I want to get it done right away. This energy could really help you to power through something for sure and get it done. I have a lot more to share with you about the planetary conversations and other things going on during this really big new moon. So energetic. Oh my gosh, the energy is off the charts. So if you're not yet subscribed, take a moment to subscribe right now and tap the notification bell so you get notified of my Aries new moon video. Now, on April 19th, the sun will enter Taurus. We will now be in Taurus season. And this is a really interesting shift of energy. It's a palpable shift of energy because we're going from this fiery, go-getting, risk-taking Aries energy. And Aries energy, we don't want to wait. We also don't want to wait for anyone else. And we come from instinct. We come from a very strong sense of gut feeling. I just have to do this without thinking, without stopping to deliberate. I'm just going to quickly do it, go for it. There could even be a sense of urgency with Aries energy. So we're shifting from that on the 19th to the sun entering Taurus, which is a slow, methodical builder. What I love about this shift is that whatever goal or dream or vision or heart's desire that is percolating for you, my friend, now as we move into Taurus energy, the sun in Taurus, we're looking at how can I build this? What are the resources, especially resources? What are the resources that I will need to methodically, one step at a time, achieve this dream, get this project done? And how can I feel abundant as I do so? Because in Taurus energy, we want to live the good life, whatever the good life means to you. And it's earth energy, it's fixed earth. We want to maintain what we have or expand it or make our lifestyle better. We want to upgrade our comforts of life, especially in some way. And again, that's different for some of you because, as an example, it doesn't mean that you want a bigger house necessarily or a faster car. Taurus is associated with luxury, but again, not everybody loves traditional luxury, right? Many of you may want to simplify your life. You might want to downsize. You might want to buy some property and live off grid for the first time. Reconnect with Mother Earth, as we say. So it all depends on your values. But the Sun in Taurus helps us to be more self-reliant. And in this energy, we're often focused on material security. The next day, April 20th, could be quite an intense feeling day, as we are going to have Mercury making a conjunction to Saturn and Mercury making a conjunction to Mars. So we've got Mercury, Saturn, and Mars all together making an exact conjunction. And yes, it's true that Saturn and Mars in traditional astrology are considered the malefic planets. I happen to see them from a different point of view. I see them as a spectrum of how they express. The most divine expression, for example, and then the shadow expression. So true, the shadow expression of Saturn and Mars can be quite difficult to navigate. But in their highest octaves, this can be getting a lot done, extracting the wisdom from a situation. That can be Saturn, the wise elder, getting advice from somebody who can help us with information that we don't have readily available to us. For example, getting an astrology reading, because Mercury is communication. Mercury is learning new things. Mercury can be new ideas coming to the surface, and then Mars wants to run with those ideas. Mars wants to take action on them, and Saturn may be saying, wait, have you considered this? There are these other hoops you have to jump through. There are laws and restrictions around this. Or Saturn could be saying, what does your wise self say? Is there anything on a moral or values level that you want to or need to consider? Mercury in Aries wants to move very, very quickly, but Saturn in Aries is slowing down that fast pace energy, which can be a good thing because we don't tend to think things through with Aries energy. Saturn could also be a reality check or an authority figure putting the kibosh on your plan for sure, but we want to remember that it's about the divine plan, right? The divine, our own higher self, our angels, we are being guided. And often when we've had some sort of delay, we look back on it and we say, okay, now I see why. We don't really see it very often. And we don't usually see it when it's happening. It's just frustrating, right? But keep in mind that the highest octave of Saturn is wisdom. So in its divine wisdom, if we are being delayed or we are being told no, there is a better plan that maybe we haven't seen yet. And just 3 days later, that other plan or option may come to you through an epiphany. Why do I say this? Because on April 23rd, we will have the very last activation of Uranus before it leaves Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Uranus is the great awakener, the shaker upper, where we get those jolts and shocks and eureka moments sometimes, or Uranus can bring chaos, discombobulating upsets, especially in Taurus, having to do with the stock market, finances, extreme weather, and anything related to the earth, planting and farming our food. So on April 23rd, we have Venus in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus. They come together. And this can be something really beautiful because conjunctions of two planets, they are on the same page, but they can go either way. And as an example, the last time that Venus made a conjunction to Uranus in Taurus was July 4th of 2025. And in the stock market, the few days right before this exact conjunction, the market went up. However, July 4th being a holiday in the United States, the stock market was closed, at least the markets here. I know there are foreign markets. I know nothing about those, so forgive my ignorance about that. Then when the market reopened after the 4th, it went down. And then almost just as quickly, it recovered. I don't know if it fully recovered, but my point is it was up, down, and then at least somewhat back up again around the time of this conjunction. So Venus with Uranus can go either way, and it's not just the financial markets, it's not just our own finances, it's also connected to love, relationships, beauty, pleasure. It can make us want to gamble for sure. Like someone could give us an opportunity that just feels like, oh my gosh, I really can gain a lot from this. I could really win if I did this. But then just remember, if it is some sort of a gamble, the old age wisdom of don't gamble what you're not okay with losing, right? What you can't afford to lose. That was it. Now, just after Venus makes that exact conjunction to Uranus and Taurus, Venus will leave Taurus and enter Gemini. And Venus in Gemini is a very different energy, very social, connected to siblings, lovers, simpatico relationships, soul sisters, soul brothers. Venus in Gemini is a talker, favors communications of all kinds. It's a great time for making art, for working with our hands, channeling energy through our hands. It could also be really favorable for online dating or just being out and about and getting together with people in your local area. Because we tend to be more open and sociable with Venus and Gemini, it really is quite lovely for meeting new people or getting new ideas, doing things in a way that you haven't done them before. Venus in Gemini is flexible, open-minded, and ready to have fun. Now, on April 25th, we're going to have a transit that is not my favorite. I would not order this off the menu. This is the Sun in Taurus making a hard aspect, what we call a square, to Pluto in Aquarius. Sun square Pluto, that usually is not good for the financial markets. It is usually not good for our life force energy, the sun, our sense of empowerment. We can feel like there are two parts of ourselves that are in conflict, or that we are in conflict with another person, someone isn't supporting us. Or again, hard Pluto transits can be complicated situations, complicated relationships. So just say no to emotional manipulation, any sort of power struggle. Be aware that other people could act shady in some way around this time. People not playing fair. Boundaries will be very important. And also fears could come up about what we really want, especially regarding our identity. If we're thinking about doing something new, taking on a new role, we could have fear come up with this transit to process, purge, and release. And then on April 25th, the biggest transit of this month, I would say, is Uranus re-entering Gemini to stay until 2033. This is absolutely one of the biggest transits of 2026. Uranus in Gemini is very different energy from Uranus in Taurus because Gemini is an air sign. It is our thinking. It is how we co-create with the divine. Very mental energy as compared to Uranus and Taurus, which is earth energy. It's more grounded, even though Uranus is quite uncomfortable, we say, in Taurus, because Taurus doesn't like change. And with Uranus and Gemini, we're more open to change. We're more flexible. We're more adaptable. Our thinking is more attuned to change and new possibilities and transformation. So in that way, this is a very positive placement of Uranus and Gemini. But still, it can bring sudden, radical change. The same Uranus, I'm going to pick you up and move you to the place that you're meant to be, says the divine. That same Uranus force of really deep down wanting to free and liberate us, but that doesn't mean it's easy for our human selves when we get that kind of shocking or sudden change or movement, right? So yes, in its highest octave, it's flashes of insight, epiphanies, quantum leaps even, and how this is going to relate to you and all the different themes involved and various kinds of scenarios that you might experience. I share all of that in my most recent Uranus in Gemini video that I will also link at the end of this video. I have 3 videos on Uranus and Gemini, so I will make a playlist of those as well and put that in the description box below for you. And finally, my friend, the very last transits of the month, from April 26th to the 28th, we are going to have 2 very positive Venus transits. Who doesn't love a positive Venus transit? Venus is, I like to joke about this, Venus is, I know we came here on a soul level to transform and grow and all of that. And those lessons, the human journey, right? Us being spiritual warriors, having a human adventure, that can be quite challenging. So I also believe that when we were deciding whether or not we wanted to be here on this planet, we said, okay, what's the good stuff we're going to get? And that's Venus. Venus is the good stuff. Venus is our preferences. Venus is the things that bring us pleasure in life. And it is beauty, and it is, beauty is it's open to your interpretation and imagination, right? It's different for all of us. But Venus is very much connected to love. It's very much connected to our heart. And on April 26th, Venus is going to make a sextile, an opportunity, a solution, a workaround, a new creative, something going right and well. Venus is going to sextile Neptune in Aries. So remember, Neptune in Aries is connected to a dream and what your heart most wants, what you truly desire. And Venus in Gemini sextile Neptune in Aries says, what you truly desire, you can make it real. I'm going to say it again. What you truly desire, it can be real. You can bring it down into reality. That's what this transit says. And not only this, just 2 days later, on the 28th, our very last transit of the month, Venus will trine Pluto in Aquarius. So we get Venus sextiling Neptune, and then we get Venus trining Pluto within 2 days of each other. And to me, this is the universe saying, I want to really support you to create something that is passionate for you. Pluto, passion, Venus trine Pluto, something that you really feel you not only desire, but you need to create wealth in your life, whatever wealth is for you, or to create community. Community can be wealth, right? Having people that are like-minded, that have your back, that join with you in some aspect of your life, that can be wealth. And Pluto in Aquarius, for sure, and I have a whole playlist for you on Pluto and Aquarius. I will try to remember to link that in the description box also. But Pluto in Aquarius, it's restructuring wealth on a global level for us, or it will over time. It is us taking our power back. It is power to the people versus the hierarchical corporate structures. And that's going to take time. That's going to take time to shift and be dismantled, but it's happening slowly. And you might have examples of it happening more quickly in your life. But Venus trining Pluto is saying, okay, how can we rebuild in a way that is empowering to us? How can we rebuild in a way that we don't feel like we're doing it alone? We know we're doing it in community. We have other people or one other person that shares our same vision. It's a visionary energy, and Venus will trine Pluto. So I love that we are closing out the month with these very positive Venus aspects to the transformational planets of Neptune and Pluto, saying, what your heart most wants, my friend, believe that you can have it. Believe in yourself. Be willing to say yes to your heart, because it all begins with that. It all begins with you opening up to the possibility and knowing that you are, not only that you're worth it, but that you deserve to be happy. You deserve joy. You deserve ecstasy even. As Goethe said, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Okay, my beautiful friend, let us do your 12-sign monthly horoscopes now. Watch your rising sign. This will tell you the house in which you will be experiencing each of the transits that I cover for the month. And also watch your sun and moon signs for the themes that I talk about and the intuitive messages that I share with you, including the oracle card readings. And we're going to start with Taurus, because beautiful Taurus, this is your birthday season. Happy birthday to those of you who have birthdays this month of April. And I think you're going to love this month, not only because it's your birthday season, but also because Venus is going to be in your sign most of the month. It moved into your sign at the end of March, and it will be here through the 23rd of the month. When you have Venus in your own sign, that is like a kiss from the universe. That is, we tend to just get our way more often, Taurus, with Venus in our sign, especially when it comes together with the sun, but all month really. Whenever it is making an aspect to a planet or point in your chart, a positive aspect and a conjunction to your rising sign is quite lovely. So the month opens right out of the gate with a full moon in Libra, the sign that rules balance, harmony, relationships, and love. And of course, you're ruled by Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus, so you have that in common. Taurus, you and Libra, and you will experience this full moon in your 6th house of health, wellness on all levels, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and your daily work. So your relationships with coworkers, with any supervisor that you may have. If you are the supervisor, or you are a business owner and you have employees, and it could be your relationships with your employees. It's also your lifestyle and your pets, your routines and your schedules. Really big picture, it's how we manage our energy. So a full moon here is asking you, do these areas of your life feel like they're in balance? And if not, how might you tweak that, fine tune that, make a shift there? So that's the full moon. You are going to be looking at some sort of ending, completion, or manifestation, most likely, in this area of your life. And really, because it's our lifestyle, and I don't, if I didn't say it's pets also, it's also pets. It's really the rhythm of our life. So when we have a full moon in a sign, and for you in the 6th house, it's asking you, are you happy and fulfilled with the rhythm of your life, and especially your daily life, your daily work? And how is that affecting your health and vitality? And it could be like how you work out, or if you work out, or the foods you eat, and anything to do with the vitality that you feel day to day. And then we have a new moon in Aries. So we have a full moon and a new moon every month. The new moon in Aries for you is going to be in your 12th house. So it's the opposite sign of where the full moon in Libra is happening. They work together on this axis. And big picture, this axis is about your health on all levels. And it's about, like, how is this human adventure as a spiritual being going for me? Am I happy? Because the 12th house is the mystical realms. It's our more spiritual experience of life. Also the subconscious mind. We can self-sabotage in the 12th house. We can have self-doubts and situations in which we can hide in the 12th house. We can hold back in the 12th house. And it's a new moon in Aries, which is far from that, right? Aries is going for it, saying yes to something, not thinking too much about it, and just giving yourself the freedom to do what your heart most wants. So that means you might be reprogramming something in your subconscious mind, or you might be realizing that you have been holding back too much. You get the idea. Also, though, if you want to, because it's a new moon, it's a reflective time. It's a time to get clear on what we want to plant for seeds of intention. It's the beginning of a manifestational cycle. So for some of you, because it is the 12th house, you might be considering a career or some sort of vocation or project that is related to the 12th house, which would be things like mediumship, tarot readings, anything in which you're doing channeling. Like when I pull cards and when I speak, I'm doing my own form of channeling. Anytime you're using your psychic ability, your intuitive guidance, which is probably all the time, right? But it's also so if you want to start a spiritually based business, for example, or you want to take a course in mediumship, for example, or you want to get better at automatic writing, which is a channeling technique. I teach you how to do that in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes. Or you want to do more deep diving kinds of practices like meditation. Maybe you are wanting to have a spiritual awakening. Maybe you're ready to up level. Maybe you're on an ascension journey and you want to keep ascending. And so you could be doing some, getting in touch with fear, for example, and purging that so that that is not in the way of your ascension. A really good time to be aware if we do have any tendencies toward addiction or escaping into fantasies that aren't healthy for us. Basically not saying yes to our heart. If we can be aware of those places where we hold ourselves back, that can be a great use of both the full moon, because it's across the way and the sun will be in this 12th house during the full moon, but then this new moon in Aries too. basically all month with the manifestational cycles that are going on. They are speaking to you perhaps coming out more, Taurus, perhaps coming out more, saying yes to your heart more. That could be part of this too. And then the sun moves into your sign, Taurus, on the 19th. And the icing on the cake will be Venus here as well, starting on the 23rd. So the sun and Venus in the first house of you, your identity, the roles that you play, the titles that you have, the anything that you choose to do that may be different. This can affect your relationships too. You can be saying yes to a new relationship. You can be walking away from a relationship. You could be changing your appearance, focusing on the health of your body. You might want to be shedding some weight or gaining some weight. Your image, your self-image, those come up here as well. And with Venus here, it's a good time to treat yourself to whatever will make you happy, whatever will make you feel more attractive, whatever will make you feel, of course, attraction starts from the inside out. I was just thinking about this the other day, how the soul, you see the soul through the eyes, right? We see our soul through our eyes. So even as we get older, a lot of you are very young and you probably have no sense of aging skin or anything like that, but we kind of think when we're getting older, a lot of us, well, my skin's never going to age like that. I'm never going to have wrinkles. I'm never going to have lines, all that stuff. And then you get older and you do. And, each time you get one, you're like, okay, here's another one. But the point I'm making is that regardless of the wrinkles, regardless of the lines, regardless of how, our bodies change, often in ways as we get older, as we age, the aging process, if we're not doing plastic surgery or any kind of thing to change that, the beauty of the soul still shines through the eyes. The beauty of the soul will always shine through your sparkly, beautiful eyes, Taurus. So that's something that I had, I think my guides were reminding me of that recently. And I wanted to share that with you as well. Because that's the first house. It's how we see ourselves and how we want to be seen, and how we see ourselves when we look in the mirror. And are we nice to ourselves? Do we say negative things? Do we focus on the quote unquote flaws, or do we focus on the power and the beauty of our soul? Uranus will move into Gemini. It will leave your sign, Taurus. Are you doing a hip hip hooray for that? It will move into Gemini, and then Venus will move into Gemini 2 days after that. And that is happening in your second house of material security, earned income, self-worth, and deserving. So with Uranus in your second house, it wants to free you to feel like you can create your own. There's a helicopter or a plane or something flying above me right now. So if the sound is weird, it will pass quickly. Interesting that it's Uranus in Gemini, and that is associated with flying cars, perhaps, is one of the things that we see with Uranus going back into Gemini. And Gemini is an air sign, and of course airplanes are connected to the air, the skies. But Taurus, with Uranus going into Gemini in your second house of material security and earned income and the things that I mentioned before, it wants to free you in these areas. So you may very well receive some sort of epiphany or divine downloads or sudden changes happen while Uranus transits your second house. It's beginning here again for the second time, but this time to stay until 2033. And I have a separate video for you on that transit and what you can expect. But I think a lot of you are going to want to make some sort of changes in your earned income, maybe taking on a side gig, or just Uranus wants us to think outside our regular way of thinking about anything to do with material security. So Taurus, let us see what the cards have to say for you for your month of April. Taurus, your card is the Sun. Yes. Enjoy success and happiness. What a beautiful card. I love that you got the Sun card, especially because it's your birthday month. Another revolution around the sun. Success and happiness are yours this month, beautiful Taurus. If you want to claim this in the comments below, let us know. I'd love to hear. Aries. Hello, beautiful Aries. Happy birthday to those of you with April birthdays. Aries, This month, I think that you are going to be on fire. 7 planets, including the sun and the moon, in your sign around the new moon in your sign. And the new moon really jumpstarts the astrological new year. Yes, it began when the sun went into your sign, but the new moon is when the sun and the moon come together and they birth, there's something birthing in you with that new moon in your sign, Aries. So get ready to be super ignited this month. If the fire's not already burning in your belly, if you're not feeling passionate, if you're not feeling inspired and ready to take some sort of a risk, and you are a willing risk taker most of the time, Aries, if you're not ready, I would say by mid-April, you are going to be feeling that passion igniting you. Now, we're going to start the month with a full moon in Libra, your opposite sign. That's happening in your 7th house of committed partnerships. A full moon is a culmination, an ending, a full circle moment, a manifestation. With the full moon there in your partnership house, it could either have to do with romantic partnerships or any kind of relationship, a best friendship, a business partnership where the other person has your back and you have their back. And it's a completion or a manifestation. So basically, your 7th house of relationships and your relationship life is lit up during this full moon. And yes, sometimes relationship dynamics change during a full moon. And if you're not in relationship during this full moon in a traditional sense, in a partnership that you can immediately point to, Aries, then this full moon may be bringing up your own internal dynamic around relationships or something that you want to shift in relationships so that you can have more fulfilling relationships. If you don't want that, if you're saying, I don't want that, it could be with the divine. It could be with your own inner self, being your own best friend, as we say. And then Aries, we're going to have a new moon in your sign. This is really talk about energetic. This is a very high energy new moon. I've already done a separate video for you on the Libra full moon. I'm going to do one on the new moon, as I always do for every lunation. But because there is a conjunction between Mars and Saturn, I talk about this in part 1 of this video. Please go back and watch that if you haven't already. You'll get much more information on this, but it adds intensity. It adds more fire. It adds potential conflict. It definitely is asking us, supporting us to be conscious. We need to be conscious during this full moon. Where is it happening? New moon. Where is it happening for you, Aries? In the 1st house of you. It is your new moon. It's your identity. It's the roles that you play. It's your image, your self-image, how you want other people to see you. It is your vitality, your health. When we have a new moon in our sign, it's asking us, am I happy with those things that I just mentioned? How we feel in our bodies, how we feel in our emotions, how we feel in our work, if we have work, in our retirement, if we're retired, however we spend our time. Do we feel, is our identity in alignment with our values? But also, because it's your 1st house, that means it can be activating any of the other angles of your chart, meaning your relationships, your home and family, career, or however you spend your time. So that brings in a lot of themes that any of which could be something that you are reflecting on during this new moon. That's what we're meant to do, reflect and get a sense of, what do I want to intend? What do I want to create? What am I co-creating going forward? And Aries, this really is likely to be your next thing, a goal, a project, a heart's desire. Whatever burning desire is whatever desire is burning in your belly. This is the time to really be asking, what would bring me more alive? What would bring me more alive? Then we have Taurus season beginning. On the 19th of the month, the sun will leave your sign. It will enter Taurus in your beginning to transit your 2nd house. And Venus will, on the 23rd, also enter your 2nd house. So the sun and Venus in Taurus, this earthly sign that is connected to material security, your earned income, how you, support yourself, how you pay your bills. Let's say that, if you have bills. Most people do, I know. Some people live off grid and they have very few bills. But what the sun and Venus could be bringing up for you. First of all, when the sun and Venus are transiting our 2nd house, we often have, the money's good. Usually we have, all of our needs are taken care of financially. unless they are making difficult aspects to other planets or points in your chart, which can happen. Obviously, I can't see your chart, so I don't know if there are any difficult aspects that are being made to your planets or points by the Sun and Venus. But often it's a time of increase or money flowing well. But also it could have to do with your self-worth and deserving. You could be wanting to increase your sense of what you know you deserve, how you see yourself, or maybe that's just happening naturally with this transit. Maybe it's just, maybe you get a big boost of self-love, self-esteem, you know, an atta girl or an atta boy, just feeling very proud of yourself during this transit. And then lastly, Uranus will return to Gemini and Venus will enter Gemini 2 days later. And this will happen in your third house of moving and shaking. So Uranus going into Gemini for you, Aries, is very simpatico energy. Gemini is air and it sparks your fire, and Gemini and Aries energy, they usually get along very well. And so this is a transit that you could have a lot of wonderful things happen over time. Obviously, this is a very long transit. Uranus will be in Gemini until 2033. When it makes aspects to your planets or points in Aries or any other place in your chart will depend on the degrees of those planets or points in your chart. So be anywhere between when it returns to Gemini to sometime in 2033. But what will it do for you? A sextile is an opportunity, a solution. It's a fresh breeze blowing into your life. It's something very positive happening for you where you take the initiative and something good comes as a result. I have a separate video for you on this transit. But for you, because it's happening in your third house, this is your communication, your mindset, new ideas, new possibilities, learning and growth, new courses, or writing, perhaps what you're doing, creating a shift in a relationship, a positive shift with a sibling and uncle cousin, a neighbor. It really highlights your neighbors. It highlights short trips and your devices and your vehicles, and getting more free in this local, so your local environment, the third house, or getting free in your thinking. You could really up level your ability to co-create with the universe, to manifest. This would be a great transit for really increasing your ability to manifest your heart's desires. Aries, I love that for you. So let's see, I've been shuffling for you. Let's see what the cards have to say. For you, Aries, what does your heart most want? Is there a passion right now that you've already started or that you want to start? Are you ready for this? Like, how do you feel about knowing there are so many planets in your sign during this transit, Aries? Leave me a comment if you would like to. I'd love to hear. Let's see what your card. Oh, the cards are like, they're jumping around. That's really interesting. That could be just because there's a lot of eagerness in your energy, or it could be, and my energy, because I channel the energy of the sign when I'm doing the cards, or it could be that you maybe don't feel so grounded right now. I mean, Uranus, for example, that's an energy in which we really have to ground our energy. I talk about how to work with that in my separate video on it. Okay. Okay, Aries. Grounding my energy, and let's see what your card is. The Shaman. Trust in higher forces. Trust in higher forces. Wow. Wow, wow. What I love about this card, first of all, is the wisdom of the shaman, the stillness, the way the shaman holds him or herself in this card. There's an owl that is perched on the shaman's head. There are equal weights on either side, Libra energy, where we're having the full moon. Balance, the theme of balance, the theme of wisdom, the theme of intuitive guidance from the owl. And then the timing of the clock, that's Saturn energy. And of course, Saturn's in your sign right now, Aries. So trust in higher forces. Everything is going to happen in divine, perfect timing. Actually, as I look closer, it's not a clock. It looks like it's a native medicine wheel. It looks like it's a medicine wheel. which brings in the magical mystery and synchronicities and what you need for medicine to be in your full power and energy, which is different for all of you. Some of you may be learning shamanic ways. You may see yourself as a shaman. You may see yourself as a healer. You may want to claim that in the comments below. Let us know, beautiful Aries. This is your season. Happy, happy birthday. Pisces. Hello, beautiful Pisces. Pisces. Mercury is now direct in your sign. That was a doozy of a Mercury retrograde. I am really happy to share with you, as I did in part 1 of this video, that Mercury will be leaving your sign and entering Aries. And I think that's really good news because it was such an intense Mercury retrograde. If you felt that, leave me a comment if you'd like to share. But Mars is also going to leave your sign. And so with Mercury and Mars leaving your sign, you could feel a relief. You could feel like that was heavy energy. It's not always, Mercury and Mars are not always heavy in our sign, but sometimes when Mars is transiting our own sign, our first house, we can feel that we have to advocate for ourselves more. We have to, quote unquote, fight to get our way, or, set more boundaries. And I know that setting boundaries is often a learning curve or a practice, let's say, for Pisces people, because you are by nature boundaryless, which is what connects you to the divine and what makes you so closely connected to your psychic abilities and your intuition. But I think this month may be a breath of fresh air for you. I also love that Venus will be in Taurus most of the month, and the Sun will enter Taurus on the 19th, because both Venus and the Sun in Taurus will harmonize with your energy. So you might feel more vital. You might feel like if your energy's been low, you're getting more energy back. And this is very good, grounding, stable energy, Taurus energy. So the month begins with a full moon in Libra. It's happening in your 8th house of death and rebirth, transformation, long-term savings, nest eggs, investments, loans, taxes. A lot of people will be doing their taxes, I think, this month. Not just because it's tax time, but you may be doing them anyway because taxes fall in the 8th house. Also real estate and other assets, but so, a full moon is a completion and ending, a full circle moment. It can be a manifestation. It could be selling a house, could be buying a property, could be, making changes or beginning some sort of investment program, but also emotional and sexual intimacy. So a full moon here could be some kind of peak moment for your relationship if you are in a deeply bonded emotional relationship or an intimate relationship, as we say. There could be some healing with this full moon. There could be a truth revealed, some recognition, going deeper with your partner. We also have a new moon in Aries, and the new moon in Aries is going to have 7 planets including the sun and the moon in Aries. I speak about it in part 1 of this video. There's a lot going on with that new moon in terms of intense Aries energy, a lot of fire, a lot of hot, dry energy. That's Aries. So keep in mind that the natives could be restless. I mean, it's a new moon, it's not a full moon. So we don't tend to feel the new moons as intensely in our relationships, but it could bring up a lot of stuff for all of us around. If for you, it's happening in your 2nd house, for all of us emotionally, and for you around material security, your earned income, your values. Is my life aligned with my values? That could be a question coming up for you. Or self-worth, deserving, self-esteem, self-love. It's definitely a self-love new moon. All new moons are a time that we're looking at a new manifestational cycle. We're beginning one. We are reflecting. We are getting clear on what we want to co-create going forward. So that is going to be what's going on during that new moon. But again, it could have a real intensity to it. And I think that a lot of us are going to be looking at, a heart's desire. And for you, this is often would be tied to income or what you, any story or any inner, it'd be self-doubt, but it can also just be, like what you grew up with in terms of money, in terms of abundance, like any any sense of what abundance means to you, but also your ability to have abundance in your life, co-create abundance. That could be coming up for you too. This is about bringing our energy, so to speak, our co-creative energy, bringing it up to date. So like if we have a story that it can be very hidden, it can be really subtle, but if we have any kind of sense of, I really want this, but that's not possible, so I'm going to go for this instead, even though it doesn't light you up, for example, or it wouldn't fully meet your needs. You could be experiencing a sense of, or get an aha moment that says, no, I need to level up what I'm asking for. I want to release shed a skin during this new moon of anything that is where I'm not valuing myself enough, Taurus season begins for you in your third house. It's on the 19th. The sun will move into Taurus, and on the 23rd, the planet Venus will move into Taurus. So the sun and Venus, both in Taurus, in your house of moving and shaking, your local environment, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, landlords, people that we come into local contact with when we meet up for coffee dates, when we, go do our errands, when we stop and get lunch maybe somewhere, or we work out, or we go to a class. All of those can be third house kinds of interactions and moments. Also, if you have a website, if you do any sort of freelance work. And also this house contains so many different subjects. It's also short trips, like a long weekend, your devices, vehicles, and then just big picture learning and growth. So those things could, with the sun here in the month of April, it won't start till the latter part of the month, but the latter part of the month and then early into May. And of course I'll do a separate video on May astrology, but starting the 19th, the sun, and then the 23rd, Venus here in your third house. That's when you could feel these themes that I just expressed really beginning to flavor your life or color your life. It's a time that we can be like getting our car serviced. We can be having more email kinds of contact with people. We can be buying and selling things, or fine-tuning a website, or starting to create a website, or just be more social, just be getting out more, Pisces. And then the biggest shift, I think, of this month is going to be Uranus returning to Gemini. I have a separate video. I have 2 videos for you on this subject. One is very recent. And Uranus in Gemini is going to be in your 4th house. So I do a whole reading for you on that, longer than I can do here. But I do want to tell you that Uranus wants to free and liberate you in the area of home and family, whether that means your relationship with family members, your relationship to your home. Uranus tends to bring change, can bring change to you where you actually live, or what you do to your home or with your home, like beautifying it, remodeling it, or if you want to build a new home. But it can also be on a more inner level, inner child healing, ancestral healing, getting sudden revelations that are liberating and freeing for you. Maybe you are, connecting to the grandmothers, connecting to ancestors, and realizing that you have a deep, deep connection to those people on the other side that can root you in a new way, can make you feel more rooted by doing those kinds of practices, which Pisces, you're often very good at that. Pisces are often very good at connecting into the unseen, right? Such as people who have transitioned to the other side. Or it could be very practical for you. Where is my home? Where do I want to live? Where would I feel like I'd be more in my sanctuary? Or I just can't live here anymore. I just can't live here. Sometimes, if we're renting, for example, the landlord can say, sorry, I'm selling the place. And that can be really jarring and shocking and hard, but then it can turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to us, because we realize, well, I really wasn't happy there anyway. So, beautiful Pisces, Let's see what the cards have to say for you for your month of April. And of course, you may not feel Uranus at all in April. It's a very long transit. It goes till 2033. It depends on the planets and points in your Pisces energy, the degrees of them. If they're very early degrees, 0 to 1, you're going to feel it right away. Of course, we've already had it at 0 to 1 degrees last year. So you could have done that Uranus work, Uranus adventure, I should say. And then, you know, for a lot of us, it will make different transits to different planets and points throughout its stint in Gemini. The timing of which I can share with you in an astrology reading, of course. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. Beautiful Pisces. Pisces. Your card is, ooh, I love this card, the Elder. Move beyond ancestral patterns. My eyes. Move beyond, and I mean, how perfect is that for Uranus returning to Gemini in your 4th house of the ancestral line? Wow. You know what I love about this card is he's so mischievous looking, right? It's like we can get so weighed down and heavy with spiritual shadow work, so to speak. And he's like, no, let's do this in a playful way, Gemini. Let's communicate. Let's, you know, paint our bodies. That could be very Gemini too. Gemini can be, we could be very creative in Gemini energy, using our hands, creating art. Pisces, you're very artistic. You see all the art drawings in the background. There's a lot of light in our ancestral patterns. It's not just the shadow. It's not just the old money stories, for example, that can be filled with lack. It could be, you know, the ability to be light and playful and in a healthy way, mischievous, to question authority, so many different things, to be artistic, to be creative. The elder is wise. If you want to claim that you are moving past ancestral patterns in the comments, or anything else that you want to share in the comments, beautiful Pisces, I would love to hear. Aquarius, hello, beautiful Aquarius. What I love for you for your month of April is all the energy in Aries, 7 planets and points, including the sun and the moon at the new moon in Aries time. Inspired fire. This can really light a spark for you, a spark of new aliveness, Aquarius. Get something off the ground. This creates beautiful chemistry with your air energy, the fire of Aries. And then also what I love for you is Uranus leaving Taurus for good. It made squares to your energy. If it, you know, however many times it activated your planets or points in Aquarius, if you have more than one planet or point in Aquarius, it made a square. And that's sudden, unexpected, discombobulating changes, events, situations. But in Gemini now, until 2033, it will trine your energy. And that is ease and flow, super creative. That is the fresh breeze blowing in. So I love that for you. So let's talk about your month. That's the overview. The full moon in Libra starts out the month. And of course, Libra trines your energy as well. Trines are the best aspect we can get. They are the wind at our back, the wind filling up your sails, Aquarius. And you're going to be experiencing the full moon and ending culmination or manifestation in your 9th house of expansion. Time to expand. You could be seeking. You could be on a quest. You could be shifting a belief. You could be ready to travel. This is new scenery. This is new adventures and horizons. Long distance travel, teaching, learning, podcasting, broadcasting, publishing. You could be doing any of those things. You could be getting a certification in something or getting a degree. You know, this is a full moon, so it's usually some sort of culmination, graduation moment. You could definitely be having a graduation from something, celebrating a graduation, celebrating your hard work. There's a sharing of enthusiasm and philosophy in this house oftentimes. It's also justice. It can be government. It can be government rules, restrictions. But again, because it's a trine, at least to your Aquarius energy, you could feel that you are very supported by the justice system. in a lawsuit, for example, or by the government, or your travel partner, or your own higher self supporting you in expanding, because that is the whole point of this transit, is expanding you. And then we have a new moon in Aries, in which we will have we will have 7 planets and energies in Aries. It's very fired up. I think it's going to be quite an intense new moon. I speak about it at length in part 1 of this video, and I will do a separate video for you on it as well. But it's happening for you, this new moon, which is a time of reflecting on what seeds you want to plant for new intentions. It's happening in your 3rd house of moving, shaking, growth, learning, writing, like writing a blog, working on a website, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors and landlords, and all the local people kinds of interactions that we have when we're checking out of the grocery line, when we're going to work out, when we're meeting somebody for coffee, when we're having a dinner date, all these things. These are all 3rd house things. And also if we're selling something on Craigslist, for example, or we're buying something on Craigslist, or we are taking a long weekend trip, it's also your devices and your vehicles. So a new moon here is saying, in any of these areas, any of these themes, what do you want? What do you want to intend? What does your heart most want? For some of you, this could be, I want to have my own business. I'm going to create a website, or I need to work on my website. I need to fine tune it. I need to make some changes perhaps. Or I want to do something that's more of my own thing. I want to be a freelance, so to speak, or worker or contract, somebody who just works on contract. I want more freedom. You could be thinking, I just really want more freedom, or I want to change the location of where I work. Or I want to get out more. I want to be more social. And then the sun will leave Aries and it will move into Taurus, and Venus will move into Taurus as well. This is the 19th for the sun, the 23rd for Venus, and that will happen in your 4th house of roots, belonging, ancestral lines, also inner child healing. Family falls here, your home falls here. If you want to make any changes in home and family, if you want to make any changes in people that live in your home, or you want to move out of your home, or you just want to live in a different place. Oftentimes we are exploring when the sun and Venus are in a house. We're exploring what will most light us up, what will make us happy, especially Venus. Venus is your preferences. But also, with the sun and Venus here, someone could be coming to visit you, like somebody close to you that you're really excited about seeing is coming to visit you, or you're going to visit them. But most likely they're coming to visit you because it's in your 4th house, and it could be a family member. It could be going on vacation with a family member, but oftentimes with the 4th house, it's somebody coming to your home. Or maybe somebody moving in, maybe a family member moving in, or a soul sister or soul brother, somebody moving in that feels like family in the best of all possible ways. Then Uranus will enter Gemini for you, Aquarius, and Uranus and Gemini also trines your energy, and Venus will trine your energy, so this is really beautiful. It's about freedom and liberation. It's happening in your 5th house. When Uranus transits our 5th house, there's often changes with children, changes in love and romance, changes in our creativity. Maybe our creativity is sparked. That is really what I think is meant to happen when we have a 5th house Uranus transit. We're meant to be more open, more available to change, up-leveling our thinking outside the box, as we say, dismantling the box, creating a new, maybe it's not a box, maybe we're creating a new container for our creativity, for abundance, for love, for romance, for sweetness. Sweetness is the 5th house, inner child delight, unbridled free expression. This is where change is likely to happen for you, that feels more sudden, but because it's a trine, it's going to be, Uranus trines are lovely. They're often opportunities, or it's things falling into our lap. It's things we didn't expect that just happen. I love a Uranus trine. I love, love, love a Uranus trine. And then with Venus here too, starting on the 23rd. So that's really beautiful. So Aquarius, let us see what the cards have to say for you for your month of April. You get so many positive, harmonious aspects with this Aries energy being harmonious to you, Gemini energy being harmonious to you. It's really, really lovely for you. Okay. Aquarius. Your card is, ooh, the snake shed a skin. Wow. The Sun and Venus and Taurus, they do make a harder aspect to you. They do make what we call a square aspect to your energy. And so where you shed a skin, it could have to do with your home, family, ancestral healing, healing something on the inner child level. It could be that, or it could have to do with your sexuality. I often connect the snake to our sensuality or our sexuality. I mean, after all, Taurus is known for our sensual movements. You know, maybe there's something that you've been settling for. It's time to let it go, let go of the good for the great, or let go of the less than good for something that's healthy and enlivening and makes you, when I look at the snake, I see a goddess. I see goddess energy in her power. She's composed. She's in her power. That's what I just keep feeling when I look at that snake energy. It's interesting that I see the female form. Do you see it, Aquarius? If you want to claim your power, let us know in the comments or anything else you want to share. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, you are going to be making a decision this month, I believe, or you might be feeling a little bit of pressure to take some sort of action. This could be a real turning point month for you. Why? Because so much energy in Aries, and Aries makes a hard aspect to you. We call it a square. And because of that, those squares often get us moving, they get us into action, and they get us, you know, creating some sort of shift in our life. So I'll talk about more about that when we get to the Aries energy. But what I love for you this month is that, and I love that too, it's just, it might be a little bit more intense in terms of your home, family, career, and or career areas, or retirement if you're retired, however you spend your time. But I love that Venus and Taurus and the Sun in Taurus will both be trining your energy. They're very simpatico and they're very harmonizing with you. And this could bring back your central enjoyment of life, the five senses, or bringing back your zest for life if that's been a bit dormant, Capricorn. You felt weighed down, if you felt heavy at all. I mean, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Saturn can be quite heavy and it is squaring your energy. So there aren't Saturn transits specifically that I'm going to talk about in your monthly readings, but go back to part 1 and watch that. There are some Saturn aspects. Most important, though, are these key transits. And the first one is the full moon in Libra. That's happening in your 10th house. It's a full moon is a culmination, or the light, you know, the moon is shining brightly and it illuminates something for you. It brings a truth to the surface that you didn't see before. It's the 10th house. That's career, legacy, retirement, semi-retirement, recognition, where we want to feel appreciated. It could be a vocation. It could be a passion. It could be you actually in your work and you're like, I have to retire now, or I have to change my work. I have to change something up. Or you're celebrating. You could be getting an award or being celebrated or getting a promotion or something where you're being, you know, the light is shining on you and it's feeling like, yes, I deserve this. I deserve this. Thank you. I worked really hard. That's the thing in Capricorn energy. You work so hard on what you create. Believe me, I have Saturn in Capricorn and I have Jupiter in Capricorn. I know this feeling. Like, we work so hard in the Capricorn area of our chart when we have strong Capricorn, right? Or a planet in Capricorn or multiple planets in Capricorn. And of course, it can be even more intense if you have Capricorn moon, sun, or rising. So I get it. After that full moon, we're going to have a new moon in Aries. And the new moon in Aries is also challenges your energy, just like Libra does. That's why I said there might be a turning point or a decision or something that is, you know, palpably steering your behavior, steering your choices in some way. The new moon is happening in your 4th house, roots, belonging, home, family. This is inner child healing. It's healing the mother line or the ancestral line. Not that you have to be doing all these things during this new moon, but it is asking you how it's having, all new moons have us reflect on the themes of that house. So it's having you reflect on these themes. Do I feel rooted? Do I feel like I belong where I am? Do I feel um, secure? Do I feel fed by my home? Do I need to change anything in my home environment, or do I want to move? You know, is there a change of people living in the home, or, you know, or is that something that I want? There's a lot of energy in Aries during this time. You could have people in your home. You could have people you don't normally have. There could be, I have to say, there could be arguing in the home. There could be neighbors or a neighbor that is somehow challenging you. That can happen with a Mars fourth house transit, or you could be moving. If you're moving, let us know, Capricorn. I'd love to know. Maybe you're moving furniture. Maybe you're rearranging furniture. Maybe you're going through your home and clearing clutter, clearing out stuff. That would be a great use of this transit. Taurus season begins on the 19th. The sun will be in Taurus. Venus will enter Taurus a few days later on the 23rd. This is happening in your house of love, romance, creativity, children, fun, freedom, pleasure, comforts, joy, unbridled, free expression. What a beautiful transit. The sun and Venus in Taurus are really lighting up your fifth house. This could have to do with a child. This could have to do with, you know, this would be a good time to get pregnant if you want to get pregnant. A good time to try to get pregnant, I should say. Taurus season, especially with Venus here as well, or for any kind of creative project, any kind of something that you want to create for fun for you to put out into the world, even if it's just getting back to playing with color. You know, oftentimes we forget that that can be so helpful, is to just feel good. It's so relaxing, right? That's why there's so many coloring books for adults now. That we can just do that, or we get the pastels out and we make spirals. I remember there was a time in my life when all I did was make spirals with pastels, and it just moved the energy, right? Creating art. I have a background in expressive arts therapy, so that's using art as healing. So any kind of work, playing with color to move energy, to relight the spark, to open us up to, I'm getting an image right now of the root chakra, the tailbone, actually. It can be very grounding, very grounding. And really lovely, because it's a new moon, for setting intentions for love, romance as well, if that's something that you want in your life, or you want to up level the romance in your life, or you want a lover, if you want a lover. I don't know why that makes me laugh. I just like saying it. Okay, so then Uranus will return to Gemini. This is the biggest transit of the month, because Uranus is a power player. You know, it's one of the power players. And so it will return to Gemini to stay until 2033. Plus Venus will join Uranus 2 days later. And this is your sixth house. So when we have Uranus transit our sixth house of health, wellness on all levels, our daily work, and this is a long transit. It's a long transit. It's our schedules and our routines. Yes, something will probably change for you during this transit, but it goes till 2033. So I would have to look at your chart to tell you when you're going to have this transit. But if you're already experiencing sudden change, or epiphanies or restlessness, I have a whole separate video for you. Actually, 2 videos. I think 2. I may have even done 3. I don't remember. I have at least 2 videos for you on this transit, and one is very recent. It's linked. It will be linked at the end of this video. But I encourage you to check it out, because I give a lot of different ways that Uranus may manifest in your life, and its ultimate goal is to free and liberate you, beautiful Capricorn. Yes, it can bring health challenges. It can bring a sense of like, I can't do this job anymore. I can't do my life this way anymore. I can't have this rhythm to my life. I can't keep pushing myself if that's it. I can't keep taking this food or substance into my body. You get the idea. Lots of different ways it could play out. But the good news is that Uranus in Gemini it's an air sign, so it brings in new, fresh change. It brings in like fresh ways of thinking that can make us more adaptable and flexible. Uranus does much better in Gemini than it does in Taurus. So that is really good news. And you may be ready to stop working. You may be ready to have a change in how you work. You may be ready to have your own business or do a vocation instead of a job. Okay. Capricorn, your card is Great Teacher. This is one of the most beautiful cards in this deck. Great Teacher, learn from spiritual experiences. I always see Jesus when I see Jesus as the great example, not as the exception. Jesus as a way shower, that's what I see, unconditionally loving being. And then, of course, this beautiful dove being released, or maybe it's just flying there above Jesus. Maybe Jesus just attracted it with the power of his hands. We do channel energy through our hands, especially in Gemini energy. We can do that in all of the energies, of course. But this is acknowledging you as a great teacher, or it's inviting you to tune into one of the great teachers, whoever you relate to, and just to be open to awakening, be open to spiritual awakening and spiritual experiences. And if you want to claim this, Capricorn, in the comments, I would love to hear. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Hello, beautiful Sag. You know, one of the things I love for you for this month of April is the fact that we have so much energy in Aries and it trines your energy. That's the best aspect you can get. It's ease and flow. 7 planets, including the sun and the moon, will be in Aries during the new moon. 6, much of the rest of the month. So that's a lot of very positive, fiery, fun, potentially inspiring and transformational energy for you. Also, the moon in Libra, that air energy, it also is very simpatico to your energy. And then I think what's could be most transformational for you whenever it makes an aspect to your Sag rising, it's Uranus going back into Gemini, your opposite sign, at the end of this month. All the dates are in the first part of this video. And that's a big deal to have Uranus in your opposite sign. That is change often in your relationship dynamics or within your own sense of how you relate to yourself or how you relate to the divine. So we'll break all of this down, but I wanted to tell you that you're getting a lot of positive forward momentum this month, Sag. And the full moon in Libra is our first key transit. It happens on the 1st or the 2nd, depending on your time zone. It's happening in the 11th house, which is a house of the world is your oyster. What do you want going forward? It's friends, allies, supporters. It's social media platforms. It's you promoting a product or a service, or, these are all different ways it could play out, right? It's community, it's online dating. It's basically the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams and long-term financial gains and kind of like a new cycle. It's a new cycle beginning. So because it's a full moon, it could be a new cycle wrapping up for you. And it started 6 months ago. I have a separate video for you on the full moon in Libra. I will link to that at the very end of this video. The 11th house is the house of support and sharing whatever we want to share with others, and getting the wonderful feelings of feeling fulfilled and feeling like we have at least one person in our life that we can talk to that's supportive. So that's the full moon, an ending culmination or a full circle moment or something manifesting. And then we'll have a new moon. Of course, we have a full and new moon every month. The new moon this month will be in Aries. That is the 7 planets in Aries during the full moon. There's an intensity to it. I talk at much more length about it in part 1 of this video, and I will do a separate video for you. It's happening in your 5th house, which is love, romance, children, creativity. So a new moon here is saying, what do you want to plant for seeds of intention in this area of your life with your creativity, creative projects, putting something out into the world? Is it love or romance for you? Does it have to do with children, or maybe it has to do with just feeling more free? The house of freedom, comforts, the sweetness of life. I really see the sweetness of life in the 5th house. Also unbridled, free expression. It's the free wild child inside of you. Inner child delight, having fun just because you want to have fun. Sag, that's not usually a problem for you. That's what I love about your energy so much. When I'm around Sag people, I just feel that fun vibe. That's you guys. You have the fun vibe. I love it so much. It's fun with a bunch of N's on the end of the word fun. I just got that image. Taurus season, starting on the 19th, the sun moves into Taurus, then Venus follows on the 23rd. And this is happening in your 6th house of your health and your wellness on all levels, emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, your work, your coworkers, your who you interact with at work, your daily life, your schedules, your routines, how you manage your energy, how you're feeling in your body, how you're feeling in your energy. I love the sun and Venus transiting this house together. This is just so beautiful, just for a beautiful flow of life. Taurus season with Venus here especially, I think will be quite lovely for you. It's very supportive of taking really good care of your body, making any changes in the food you eat or how you move your body. Very supportive of fine-tuning your lifestyle or getting a pet or spending time with a pet, enjoying your fur babies, as people call them. And then Uranus will return to Gemini to stay until 2033, and Venus will also follow Uranus in Gemini 2 days later, and this is, or 2 days earlier, actually. Venus will enter Gemini 2 days earlier, then Uranus. This is all towards the end of the month. All the dates are in the first part of this video. This is happening, as I mentioned, in your 7th house of committed relationships, whether they are romantic, business, best friendships can fall here, relationships with adult children can fall here, or if you're an adult child, relationships with your parents, whoever we spend time with or who is very important to us. They have your back, you have their back. And of course, Uranus is change. It can be change with a partner, it can be change with someone significant in your life, be a change in how you relate to people, who you're attracted to, if you are attracted to anyone new. And ultimately, this transit wants to free and liberate you. So watch my separate video on this if you are intrigued. It's quite an important transit, especially when it is opposing your energy. When we have oppositions to our rising sign, for example, when you have this will depend on the degree of your rising sign, Sag. Or if you have sun, moon, and Sag, the degree of your sun or moon. But when we have Uranus opposing it, that's often when we can have relationship changes, breakups, not always a breakup, but like where we see the cracks in a relationship. Most relationships, they have to be transformed at some point to stay together, because we grow and we change and we evolve. And if our partner and us do not grow and change and evolve in the exact same timing, which is pretty rare, I think, is unusual. If that doesn't happen, then, they have to be transformed, the relationships. So that could be happening for you at some point between now and 2033. Again, the timing will depend on the degree points, which is something I can, of course, share with you in an astrology consultation. So, beautiful Sag, let us see what the cards have to say for you for your month of April. All this Aries energy, trining your energy, so beautiful. Let's see. The Hermit, interesting. It says retreat and recharge. Do you need to retreat and recharge, Sag? Do you feel drained? Do you feel, it could be that another reading of this card is just where you're gathering wisdom, especially as you reflect on what you want to seed for intentions this month. Or you could just be feeling very at peace in your energy. This is a very peaceful energy. Image is what I meant. Very peaceful image with all the green in the background. Rooting, grounding, appreciating your own energy. That's what I see. Yes, recharging. When we're in our own energy, we can recharge. We can pull down unconditional love from the divine and channel it through and fill ourselves back up again, filling your cup. If anything I shared resonates with you, Sag, and you want to share with me, I love hearing from you. I'd love to hear. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, this month is going to highlight love and relationships for you as the Sun and Venus beginning on the 19th, the 23rd for Venus, enter Taurus, which is your opposite sign. So we've got the Sun and Venus lighting up your seventh house of partnerships. I love this for you. We'll talk about this when we get there. But let's start with the first main key transit of the month, which starts right out of the gate on the 1st or the 2nd, depending on your time zone. This is the full moon in Libra happening in your 12th house. It's a mystical place. It's a magical place. Synchronicities also, though, where we can be getting a realization or a truth that has us diving deep into the subconscious. Looking at, is there something to reprogram? Is there some way that I could have been sabotaging myself? Could self-doubt have gotten in the way? Could something have tripped me up, so to speak? And now I'm coming to some sort of a realization about that. But full moons are endings, culminations, graduation moments, and or manifestations. So they can play out in a lot of different ways. And this moon for you could have you, as a full moon, could have you not just open up and awaken to something, because this is the house of spiritual awakening after all, but it could also have you manifesting a spiritually based career, something to do with mediumship or any kind of psychic channeling, tarot card reading, astrology readings, where you're also, using your intuition, which to me is it's always what we want to do in astrology. We want to share, of course, the theory and the learning that we've, gotten from our astrology teachings, but also, the deeper intuitive wisdom of astrology and your intuition. Basically, this is a very, very high-powered full moon for you in terms of your intuition and your guidance. So I have a separate video for you on this full moon where I go deeper into these readings for each of the signs, including your sign, of course. So watch that if you haven't already. But on the same axis where this full moon is happening, we're also going to have a new moon. So the new moon will be in Aries. After all, we are in Aries season for 3 weeks out of this month of April. And we do have a lot of energies, as I share in part 1 of this video, 7 planets in Aries during the Aries new moon. So it's going to be an intense new moon. And new moons tend to be less intense than full moons because the sun and the moon are together. They're not opposite each other on the zodiac wheel, but still, because we have Mars and Saturn and Mercury, plus there's a conjunction between Mars and Saturn, and then we have other planets that are talking to each other very intensely too during this new moon, which I'll share more about in a separate video. Because of this, you could really feel like this is quite a high-powered moon for you, happening in your 6th house of lifestyle, how you use your energy. Are your routines and your schedules working well for you? Is there anything you want to change in your daily life? What do you want to seed for intentions? It could have to do with your daily work. It could have to do with your work environment, relationships with coworkers or a supervisor. Could be that you want to leave a routine in your life. You want to say yes to a new routine. It's health on all levels. It's wellness, and it's, how we move our bodies and the things that we eat and drink. And so you could be wanting to change a habit too. It's also the house of habits, and something could be happening with a pet, or you could want a new pet. You could want a new lifestyle. You could want to slow down your rhythm. You want a whole new rhythm to your life. There's a lot of potential for change with all these Aries energies being activated, a lot of potential for change. So it's basically saying, what do you want your daily life to look like? How do you want your body to feel? How do you want your energy to be flowing? And let's set an intention for that to begin to manifest it. And then we have Taurus season and Venus and Taurus happening in your 7th house of committed partnerships. These are relationships in which, other people have your back, you have their back. They're mutually reciprocal relationships. I love, as I mentioned at the beginning of your reading, I love the sun and Venus transiting your 7th house. Generally, when we have Venus transiting our 7th house, that's great for attracting new people into our life. That can be great for, romantic relationships, best friendships, all relationships really. And the sun is our life force. It's vitality. It's the sun. I mean, what's not to love about the sun with Venus too? So, this could be a new relationship. This can be up leveling, the joy, the fulfillment in relationships. You get the idea. It's a beautiful, beautiful, they're beautiful to have together, the sun and Venus transiting. And then Uranus is going to return to Gemini, and Venus will also leave, when it leaves Taurus, will also enter Gemini, and then we'll have Uranus and Venus both transiting in your 8th house of transformation. So when we have Uranus go through our 8th house, and I do have a separate video, I have 2 separate videos for you. I think I did 2 on Uranus and Gemini. I know I did one very recently for you. You'll have a longer reading with that one, so watch that if you haven't already. But a Uranus transit in the 8th house often has to do with our investments, if we have investments, any property we own, if we do, any savings account, nest eggs. It's basically our long-term financial security, but also our emotional and sexual intimacy. So with Uranus here, you could have changes in any of those areas of your life. Uranus wants to free and liberate us. It wants to wake us up if we've been stagnant. If anything in your financial or your relationship life, especially where you share time, money, or resources with another person or people, has been stagnant, this transit sometime between now and 2033, you will get some sort of potentially a sudden shift or a surprise, something unexpected to wake you up. Or we can voluntarily step into that energy of awakening and say, I'm going to make changes here in my life. I'm going to take risks, make mistakes and get messy, as Ms. Frizzle. I love to quote her from the Magic School Bus. Death, rebirth, transformation are very connected to the 8th house, Scorpio. You're very connected to the 8th house. That is your house in the big zodiac, in the big zodiac wheel. So you do this, most of you do this house very well. And I always ask, like, what do you want to change in your life? Do you feel stagnant in any of these areas? It can be big gains in money when it comes to like returns on investment, or it can be losses as well. It could be either one or both. Gemini energy makes what we call a quincunx to your energy. I don't want to get too deep and too advanced into this, but it is kind of an awkward conversation between Gemini and Scorpio energy, even though I think Gemini, I mean, I'm a Gemini sun and I love Scorpio energy. So, but I have a lot of Cancer too, and Cancer does really well with Scorpio. So my point is that you could, if you have planets or points of 0 to 1 degrees, like your rising sign or any other Scorpio planets in Scorpio for you, then you could be having a quincunx awkwardness kind of transit right away, or it could be later during this time when Uranus will be in Gemini until 2033. And of course, Uranus could be making aspects over time to any of the planets or points in your chart, not just your Scorpio energy. So let us see, and if all of that is confusing, don't let it get in your way. Just know that these are the kinds of nuances that I shed light on for people in astrology consultations. This and any other transits that are happening in your chart right now. So let us see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Scorpio. Your card is... Ooh, the Warrior. This is so Aries. It's you too. You have a very strong Mars and Pluto are your co-rulers. Those are very, very strong energies. The fighters, they are fighters for sure. Warrior, be fearless and stand strong. So you may be setting boundaries this month. What I love about this card is all the green. I love this kind of iridescent green in this warrior's earring. And I love the fringe on their, I don't know what you would call the garment that they're wearing. Kind of looks like a toga, right? There's just a lot of green heart energy in this card. So it's heart healing. You could have a heart healing. It says be fearless and stand strong. So you may be facing something that feels like an obstacle, or you may be having to stand your ground, having to advocate for yourself. knowing what's right and true for you and standing strong on it. That's what I see you doing. And of course, with Mars and Aries this month and so many planets in Aries, that's warrior energy. So I'm not surprised that you got the warrior. It's a spiritual warrior. Such a gorgeous card. So gorgeous. Wow. I love the beauty of this card. If you want to claim that you are a spiritual warrior, that you are standing strong, beautiful Scorpio, you're good at that. You're actually very good at drawing boundaries. You may not want to, but it's one of the things that is a strength of your sign. If you want to claim that in the comments below or anything else, let us know. I'd love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, we've got a full moon in your sign this month. This is the month that I think really has the potential to bring you more alive. With a full moon in your sign and a new moon in your opposite sign, I see you manifesting and or letting go of or releasing a relationship pattern, a relationship, or saying yes to a new relationship, maybe manifesting a relationship. This could be any kind of relationship, committed, best friendship, business partnership, but love and relationships are going to be a very strong theme for you this month. And of course, this is because both your first and your seventh houses will be lit up, especially your seventh house. We've got all that Aries energy, but we'll get to that. So let's start with the full moon in your sign. It's happening right out of the gate on the 1st or the 2nd, depending on your time zone. It's happening in the first house of you. Libra, what do you want to, is anything ending, manifesting, changing, shifting, a full circle graduation moment? What's happening for you? This is having to do with a role that you play in your life, but it could be a career role. It could be a personal role in a relationship. It could be, and that's family. That can be family. That can be neighbors. That can be, significant others, spouses, and so on. But then, the first house is not just that. It's your big picture, it's your identity, how you see yourself, how you want other people to see you, your image, your self-image, but it's also your vitality, your health, your physicality, your look, your, how you adorn yourself if you do that, the clothes that you wear, it's all of those things. So it's an important full moon for you because something is coming full circle for you. What could that be, Libra? What's coming full circle for you? Some of you, it's you are changing a role. You're graduating from something. You've grown, you've shifted. Something is changing for you. Your status could be changing. Your relationship status could be changing, but not just like a relationship with a significant other. It could be that somebody has left your life and that changes your status in some way. Or someone new is coming into your life, or you're shifting a job role, or you're starting your own business, or, something's shifting in your home and family. It can be any angle of your chart. And these are all the main areas of our life that you're feeling this. Also, we've got the new moon in Aries. That's 7 planets, including the sun and the moon, in your 7th house of partnerships, transiting your 7th house of partnerships. A very, very intense new moon. It will be quite fiery, quite hot. This can bring a lot of energy into your 7th house. This could bring arguments for sure. It could bring conflict. It can also bring passion and love, romance, any of that. Yeah, it's all of it. It's all of it. It doesn't mean that you're going to be experiencing all of it. I'm not saying you're going to be experiencing conflict and love and romance and passion. You could be experiencing any of that though during this new moon. And really what it's saying is it's a new moon, so it's your vision. It's asking you, what's your vision? What's your heart's desire? What do you want to seed intentions for in your relationship life? Including your relationship with you, your relationship with your higher self, especially for those of you who say, I don't want a relationship. We're all in relationship with something or someone, multiple things in our life. We're in relationship with our soul. We're in relationship with our own hearts. So I would think about that. Think of it in that way. If you say, I don't want to be in a relationship, we're in relationship with the most important people in our life. Sometimes that's people that we work with, neighbors, and so on. Then we have the sun and Venus moving into Taurus, Libra. The sun and Venus will move into Taurus, and That will be in your 8th house. So then things get a little bit more intense. Why? Because the 8th house is an intense house. It's the house of emotional attachments, death, rebirth, transformation. Your long-term savings, nest eggs, investments, if you have investments, real estate, if you have any property. The sun and Venus in the 8th house is really nice for money from others. It's more likely that you will receive positive financial or emotional or physically intimate kinds of blessings during this transit, because Venus blesses us, generally speaking, and the sun is also life force and vitality, and it's life force. That's energy. It's very energetic. So two very energetic planets, especially with Venus here as well, can be really lovely for an increase in money, getting money from someone else and getting money from clients, that kind of thing. Maybe you will do your taxes and you'll get a surprise gift of money back on your taxes, for example. Or you can really deepen a partnership here, or you could take a partnership to the next level from, we're committed, and now we're sharing time, money, or energy in terms of, maybe you move in together. That's often kind of a classic moving from a relationship from the 7th to the 8th house. We live together, we're buying a house together, or we're pooling our money for something. Maybe you're, getting a joint bank account, that kind of thing. And then I want to tell you that Uranus will return to Gemini, and this is really beautiful for you because Uranus and Gemini energy trines your energy. So it's a wonderful wind at your back, filling up your sails, freeing you. This is very freeing, Uranus and Gemini. Where are you being freed? In your 9th house of the way you see the world, your worldview. The 9th house is the beliefs that we have, the way we see ourselves in terms of our spiritual, it's the house of seeking and the quest and, metaphysical, any kind of learning, really, any kind of what we call higher learning. So that could be getting a certification in a metaphysical art. That could be getting a PhD in something, a master's degree, teaching yourself, you being the teacher, you being somebody who's sharing your enthusiasm, your passion, your philosophy through a podcast or a broadcast or videos or, a book, publishing a book. Justice, government fall here as well. Lawsuits fall here as well. It's the house of balance and justice in the scales. And it's really beautiful energy for Libras. Gemini, you and Gemini, your energy, it flows together really well, air to air. So that means Uranus is going to bring you between now and 2033 some really lovely blessings and gifts that change your world in powerful, positive ways, Libra. When you feel this transit will depend on the planets and points in your chart. If you have any planets or points that's from 0 to 1 degree, you'll feel it right away. You will have already felt it last year, and you'll get another, you'll feel it more right away, and then Uranus will move on to other degrees this year, and so on until 2033. So beautiful Libra, let us see what the cards have to say for you for this very energetic month of April. Hopefully the sparks are flying in your relationships in really good ways, Libra. Your card is the Druid. Hold the space. It's interesting because a lot of the cards that have come out have been, have been elders, have been wise people. There's a thing about this month. I think we're going to gain a lot of wisdom this month. Hold the space. Do you already do this? You probably do, Libra. Most of you who watch this channel, you are light workers, love workers. You are the people the empaths, the people who bring light to others, right? You are the compassionate souls that sit with others sometimes when they're in pain. You help hold the space. You help raise the vibration. So this is just acknowledging that in you. It's acknowledging your wisdom. And if you feel like you're not making as much progress as you want to, maybe it is a time that you are meant to just be in balance and equilibrium and hold the space of love, of unconditional love. If you have any conversations with people this month that are difficult, hold the space of the higher love, compassion for self, compassion for the other. And that could definitely be a theme for this month with so much energy in Aries. You are not just taking the high road in this card, the energy of this card, you're also being the way shower of holding the space of unconditional love and truth and, just allowing everyone to be where they are and creating a safe space for getting on the same page is what I see and sense. Beautiful Libra, if anything I shared resonates, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, I have good news for you. I think this month is going to be a breath of fresh air for you because Mars and Mercury are finishing out their time in Pisces. This is your opposite sign. We had a very intense Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Let me know if you felt that. I certainly did. And so anyone with strong mutable energy in their chart, Gemini, Sag, Pisces, or Virgo, I think really felt that Mercury retrograde. And it was a tough one, I have to say. I thought it was quite a tough one. A lot of releasing, a lot of emotional releasing for me. But it cleared stuff out, and that's what we were meant to do. And now, by the 9th and the 14th, Mars and Mercury, respectively, will leave Pisces and enter Aries, and they will no longer be opposing you, which is, I think, excellent news. Not only that, but Venus will be in Taurus. Venus and the Sun will be in Taurus. I wanted to let you know that that Sun and Venus in Taurus will harmonize with you, and that's a really lovely gift, bringing you more joy, I think, in the delicious, I like to say for Venus energy, the delicious things of life. So we'll break this down a little bit more for you now, Virgo. As the month begins, the full moon happens right away in Libra, first or second day of the month, depending on your time zone. In your second house, material security, earned income, self-esteem, self-love, self-worth, deserving, your values, aligning your life with your values. A full moon here could have something closing out that has been bringing you money. You could be shifting how you're earning money. You could be changing something up. You could be up-leveling your sense of self-worth. Your material security could be shifting it could be something very minor. I mean, a full moon can be a manifestation too. You could be getting money. You could be having an increase in money. It's going to be different for all of you, but those are the themes, and the goal of this full moon is to celebrate how far you've come. And if that means that you're moving on from a specific source of income, it's because you're new and different now, Virgo, and you can't be in that same energy of however you were earning that money. I know easier said than done if it's like some money that you would really miss, but I think it's important for us to keep that in mind, especially when something ends or goes away or completes, to keep in mind that we are graduating. It's always a graduation on a soul level, on to bigger and better, onward and upward. Speaking of onward and upward, we have this new moon in Aries, and Aries energy is all about onward and upward. It's all about going into new territory, and it's a new moon, so it's a time to reflect on what you want to intend for the next manifestational cycle. 7 planets, the sun, including the sun and the moon, in Aries energy in your 8th house. It's another money house, just like where we had the full moon, we're having the new moon in another money house across the way, across from the second house, your 8th house. This is the house of death, rebirth, transformation, emotional attachments, the place we don't want to let go of things. If we like what's in that house in this point of our life, we don't want to let it go. That's the ego, right? The ego doesn't want to let it go. But, and I'm not saying you're letting go of anything in the 8th house. It is a new moon. It's a time to reflect and intend and begin a cycle. It's the beginning of a cycle. But whatever you are intending must be in alignment with your soul's new path. We are all going on a new path with Aries energy. This could affect let's say, I want to say it a different way. You could be seeding intentions for long-term savings, for a nest egg, for an investment, or an investment portfolio. You could want to pay off a loan. You could be wanting to Pay your taxes. That could definitely be part of the new moon, although the new moon happens right after at least the tax deadline in the US. Real estate, assets. And then there is the relationship aspect of the eighth house, emotional and sexual intimacy, the deeper diving, the getting more, like Tantra falls in this house. Just going really deep with somebody on any or all levels. So any of these things may, it's like, what do you want to create in your long-term financial life and or your relationship life that has to do with emotional or sexual intimacy? And, clients can fall in the eighth house, so can business partnerships. So it's not necessarily a romantic partnership here. It can be any partnership in which you want to make money with another person. You want to join forces. You want to put your resources together. It's the house of shared resources, time, money, energy. So whatever you want to create here, this is great to intend for the new moon. And then we have in Taurus season, the sun in Taurus on the 19th, Venus in Taurus on the 23rd. They will both be in your ninth house of expansion, seeking, quest, spiritual beliefs. It's a very expansive transit. I love the sun and Venus in the ninth house. It can really light you up to the light you up to think about traveling to another country or expanding spiritually, going on some sort of a retreat, a silent meditation retreat or a yoga retreat, or any kind of retreat that is going to expand your mind in some way. New horizons, new adventures, sharing your philosophy or your enthusiasm through a podcast, a broadcast, doing videos or publishing a book. These are all things that could be really sweet for you. These are very sweet energies, the sun and Venus in Taurus, very sweet. Also building energies, building and manifesting and abundant, lots of abundance, up-leveling your life. Or, because it's you're getting a trine from these energies. It's such a positive, harmonious transit for you. It could be something going well in a court case or it going, a ruling in your favor, or something to do with government that is, you're getting what you need. You're getting your needs met in jumping through hoops or satisfying requirements in the government, such as getting a visa. When I moved to Mexico, I had to do a lot of things. It was a lot of work to be able to get temporary residency there. They don't let you move there unless you have all your financial documents showing that you have enough money to support yourself in that country. They have financial requirements, and I'm sure a lot of countries have this too. And then once you're there, you go through a whole process to get your residency card. There are many steps to the process. So I'm just giving this as one example that you might be going through something like that too. But it's will probably be quite favorable for you if you're expecting the results of that in April, because you get these lovely trines from the sun and Venus. And then Uranus is returning to Gemini. Where is this happening? In your 10th house of career. Uranus going through your 10th house of career between now and 2033. It suggests some sort of change in how you spend your time. It suggests a change in career, perhaps, or a change in like going from having a job to being a business owner. Working in something we call a day job, right? Or a job. Working in that to doing something that you're passionate about. Really feeling like your purpose is being expressed through your work, or retiring for some of you, or semi-retiring, changing your lifestyle in some way, just changing up how you spend your time. Between now and 2033, which is a big stretch of time, you will most likely experience some sort of shift in these areas. And it could be, for some people, all it ends up being is a job change, but it's one that really frees and liberates you. It's one that you really notice the difference on a deep soul level. Uranus changes us in permanent ways. I want to say it differently. Uranus opens us up to other possibilities. If it facilitates a change, it's because our soul is evolving. It's a very much of an up-leveling kind of transit, up-leveling as a result of our soul's evolution. So let me pull a card for you, beautiful Virgo, and let us see what the cards have to say for you, for your month of April. Virgo. Your card is, ooh, I love this card. It is so lush. The Lady. Enjoy growth and reap rewards. Enjoy growth and reap rewards. So here's the card. It's a harvest card. She's having a harvest, Virgo. I love this so much. All the green, it could be a heart healing. It could be literally you are harvesting fruit or flowers or something beautiful. You're planting things maybe, or you are just feeling very abundant. It's such an abundant card. If you want to claim that you are enjoying growth and reaping rewards, it could be your inner growth too. It could be your heart expanding, your heart growth. But I also love the red of the apples because that is the red I associate with the root chakra, and that's feeling grounded, supported, and all of your needs being met. Beautiful Virgo. Leo. Hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, this month with so many energies in Aries, 7 on the new moon and 6 planets in Aries for much of the month, plus a full moon in Libra. Both of the Aries and Libra energies harmonize beautifully with your energy. Sparks could be flying for you. This is strong manifesting mojo for you this month of April. So let's break it down. The full moon in Libra happens for you on the 1st or 2nd, depending on your time zone, right out of the gate in your 3rd house of moving and shaking. So already the sparks are getting lit up in your local area with neighbors, aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, anyone that you spend time with in your local area, anything that you do on a regular basis, as mundane as grocery shopping or, working out or anything that you do, meetups with people, coffee dates, lunch dates, going out on romantic dates or just meeting up with friends. All of these things are very vibrant for you, vibrant. The full moon's an ending, completion, or manifestation. And this could also have to do for you with a website, completing that, fine-tuning that, starting one, any transactions. This is also our vehicles, our short trips, long weekends, day trips, devices, freelance work if you do that. It's the house of learning and growth too. In this house, we are meant to be out and about and social. And a full moon, is a great time to have a party, especially when it's really harmonizing with your energy so beautifully as this one is, Leo. And then we're going to have the new moon. We have a new moon every month, just like we have a full moon every month. It's going to be in your 9th house of expansion. So these houses, the 3rd house for the full moon and the 9th house for the new moon, they're across from each other because these energies, Libra and Aries, they oppose each other. And that means that the new moon is saying, what do you want that would expand you in some way? What would be expansive to you? What would feel like a blessing? What would feel like you are growing and learning and shifting in positive, powerful ways? That's what this new moon is wanting you to seed intentions for. You could seed intentions for something you want to learn. It's a house of higher learning. You could seed intentions for sharing your wisdom, your philosophy, your enthusiasm through something like a podcast or a broadcast or publishing a book. There's an invitation to a new adventure or a new horizon, some sort of a quest, some sort of a retreat, for example, in another country, maybe. Sometimes it is moving to another country. Sometimes it is wanting justice. Sometimes we want to, we are in a lawsuit, which most of us would never want to choose, but you're likely to have a really positive outcome with this. And anything to do with government, any hoops that you need to jump through to get a visa or to satisfy any requirements, that would fall in this house as well. So that's about starting a new manifestational cycle and what you're intending. And then the sun will move into Taurus, so will Venus, and this is happening toward the end of the month, well, the last third of the month. Sun in Taurus on the 19th, Venus moving into Taurus on the 23rd, and they're moving into your 10th house of career. I love this for you as well, because the sun and Venus, this is a real bright spot. I love the brightness of the sweetness and the brightness of this. And the 10th house being your career, legacy, recognition, appreciation. You could feel very appreciated this month. You could even get some sort of award. You could be recognized in some way. You could be starting your own business. You could be turning a vocation, a passion into a vocation, into something you do that you get paid for, or thinking about it, or seeding a vision for that, or starting to have a whole new lifestyle, such as through retirement or semi-retirement. You could feel like you're really expressing your lifestyle, your life purpose, really expressing your life purpose with the sun and Venus here. It's just really lovely energy. And Taurus is where we build. And of course, you always build, in Taurus energy, career-wise or work-wise, or how you spend your time, because that's your energy, Leo. You always have Taurus in your 10th house. But now we have the sun and Venus transiting there, so that really amplifies it. And maybe you are seeding something new, or you're coming up with a new plan, or the energy is just really flowing toward you, maybe getting gifts or blessings in your career. And Taurus energy does square your energy, but squares don't have to be difficult. Squares are where we have to take some sort of action to get our goals accomplished. Really beautiful energy with Uranus returning to Gemini. Why? Because Gemini and Leo spark each other. They are really compatible energies. The air of Gemini to your fire, Leo. And Venus will also enter Gemini. And so this change is happening in your 11th house, which is the world card in the tarot. It is the world is your oyster, and it's asking you, it's really a new cycle that's beginning for you. I have a separate video for you, actually 2 on Uranus and Gemini, a more recent one, as well as one that I did last year when Uranus was about to go into Gemini last year. So I encourage you to watch one or both, because the 11th house is kind of like everything opening up for you. It's a brand new cycle, but it's a cycle of change because it's Uranus, and it's saying this house includes our supporters, our friendships. It includes our whatever we want to share with the world. If we're promoting or we're branding a product, or we're putting something out into the world, maybe a course, maybe you're creating an online platform. This is the house that connects to platforms as well, social media platforms. Also long-term financial gains. So because at least for your Leo energy, it positively aspects you. You could have really wonderful, great, positive change kinds of things happen here, like new friendships, like new opportunities to brand or promote something, or a lot of, positive support if you have a social media platform, or if you do YouTube videos, a lot of subscribers, for example. That could happen for you. This would be, if you did want to build something like a channel, this would be very positive for your Leo energy, for sure. And not everyone wants to do that kind of thing. I get that. Maybe it's travel for you. Maybe it's the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. So what is your dream? What would take you out of your comfort zone? Uranus wants us to get out of our comfort zone, to think outside the box, to dismantle the box, to create a new container, and to open up to new possibilities, new ideas, new friends. Leo, let's see what the cards have to say for you. When you're going to feel that transit depends on when, the degrees that when your Leo energy or any other energies in your chart get activated by Uranus, which could be anytime between now and 2033. Okay. And multiple times for some of you. We all have lots of planets and points in our chart, right? It can activate different planets or points. Okay, your card. I'm going to flip it over. Leo. It is winter. It says take care of your needs. It is the wolf. The wolf is the teacher. The wolf is a wise teacher. If you feel like there's been a winter, of course, we've been in winter in the Northern Hemisphere. We just entered spring. It just happened. You could feel like you're thawing out. You're a fire sign after all. I could see how if you don't live in a beautiful, warm, sunny climate, you could really be tired of winter by now. But this wolf represents the wise teacher. And the wise teacher is telling you, you have to take care of your needs. You don't have to, but it's highly encouraged. It's highly encouraged for you to consider your own needs. This may be a situation that you're going through right now that this wisdom is applicable to, or it's a long-term thing for you, Leo. If you want to leave a comment and share how you take this card as wisdom for you, let us know. But I take it as, if you have been in a long winter, know that you are coming out of that. And especially when we tap into the gift, the wisdom that we learned from anything that we've just, maybe it's a dry spell for some of you. You can have dry spells in a lot of areas of our life, right? Not just our sexuality. It can be in a lot of things, but different for everyone. But, if you're coming out of something that's felt like hard ice that you've had to crack, or just coldness, then this card is saying, take care of your needs and you will feel spring once again very soon. If you want to claim the springing in your life, let us know, Leo. I'd love to hear. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer. I have my moon and rising in Cancer. So we are all part of the same Cancer family. And I believe this month, beautiful Cancer, you're going to really feel activated by the Aries energy. 7 planets, including the sun and the moon, in Aries during the new moon in Aries. It is charging you up to start something new. It's igniting the fire in your belly. Do you feel that? Leave me a comment. Let me know. What I especially love about this month for you is Venus in Taurus, both the sun and Venus in Taurus, beginning on the 19th and the 23rd for Venus, harmonizing with your energy. I think Cancer is, at least I can say I'm really ready for this. I'm ready for some harmonious Venus energy, especially. Venus is such an important planet, not just love and relationships, but all the lusciousness of life. So I love this. But let's break it down. So the full moon is the first thing that's talking. You're ruled by the moon. The moon is your chart ruler, Cancer. You really feel the new and the full moons. And the full moon's happening in Libra. It does make a square to Cancer energy. What does that mean? It means that there is something that we are breaking through. There is something that we're active, we're moving, we're thinking about it. You could be thinking about your 4th house, home, family, roots, belonging, your sanctuary. Do you like where you're living? It is a full moon, so there's a full circle, sometimes illumination, a truth comes to light, something you didn't see before, or it can be, we feel more emotional usually during full moons. It could be that you're releasing something. It could have to do with the mother or the mother line or the ancestral line that you are coming to terms with, or you are releasing. Maybe past pain here, inner child healing is part of what we could do during a full moon, or anytime, of course, but the shadow, so to speak, where we heal ourselves emotionally, that could be coming up for you during this full moon. Or you could simply be manifesting something. You could have manifested a new home. You could be manifesting a new plan for a new home, or for selling your home. That would be a full moon thing. Or just envisioning where you want to live, your sense of where would you feel most rooted and belonging and like you belong. And maybe you already are totally happy with your home. Everything's great with your home. Doesn't necessarily mean there's a change in your home. Could be that a close family member is going through a change, or somebody wants to come live with you, or somebody who has been living with you is moving out. Could be a child moving out or planning to move out, for example, to go to college, or just to, they're able to have their own home now, that kind of thing. Then we have the new moon in Aries, and that is the 7 planets, including the sun and the moon in Aries. And this is a transit to your 10th house of career. Now, the 10th house is not just career. It can be your legacy. It could be retirement or semi-retirement. It can be how you spend your time. your life purpose expressed, your passion, your purpose. But a new moon here is really having you tune into how you spend your time, whether it is work, whether it is, volunteer. If you're not working, if you are letting go of a career or have let go of a career, it could be a cause. It could be how you want to devote your time, money, or energy. So, are you experiencing any changes, Cancer, in this area of your life? And what do you want to seed for new intentions, new dreams, new hopes, new wishes, new visions, a new heart's desire in this area of your life, how you spend your time? We're really fired up. Cancer risings, especially, very much fired up. And this could have to do with home too, because the 10th house and the 4th house are opposite each other. And you're having that full moon in Libra, so it could be an ending with the full moon and then a new beginning in either home, family, career, how you spend your time. Taurus season for you this will be the sun, of course, moving into Taurus. That's Taurus season, but also Venus will join the sun a few days later. And this is the last third of the month. And this is happening in your 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. So there's a theme here, right? How you want to spend your time, what will bring you fulfillment. The 11th house is also friendships, community. You could be thinking about seeding a vision that has to do with community. It has to do with friendships. It has to do with a hope, wish, or a dream that could be related to those things, supporters, but it could also be related to a message that you're putting out into the world or a social media platform. Branding, promoting a product or a service, online dating, community. It's a new cycle. The 11th house is the ending of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. It's kind of like you looking at a globe and twirling the globe and saying, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? That could be a metaphor, right? It's a very expansive energy, and it's also long-term financial gains. I like Venus here for long-term financial gains. And it could be a new friendship. It could be a new relationship that comes in, especially if you meet romantic through online dating or a friendship through, people meet people online too for friendship these days. I'm laughing at myself. Okay, so Uranus will return to Gemini, Cancer, at the end of the month. All the dates for all these transits are in the first part of this video. And this is your 12th house. So this is a very mystical place for Uranus and Gemini. I have 2 videos, at least, maybe 3 on Uranus and Gemini. I did one very recently that I encourage you to watch if you want more on it, because I always share different things in my different videos on the same subject. And Venus will also, because Venus will enter Gemini and Uranus is going to be re-entering. I like Venus and Uranus together. This is in their highest expression. This is new flashes of insight. And it's your 12th house. So this is definitely a transit in which you could have a spiritual awakening, during which you could have a spiritual awakening. Anytime between now and 2033, depending on the planets and points that will be activated and their degrees. And also it's the mystical realms, it's magical feeling synchronicities, it's fate and karma and destiny. And any career that's spiritually based, especially any career where you are doing healing work with others, or you are doing channeling, psychic, using your psychic awareness, your intuition. Also spiritually based practices such as meditation, breath work, automatic writing, and healing self-sabotaging patterns or releasing habits where we let things like self-doubt, fear, etc., escape into fantasy, get the better of us, so to speak, where we let those things steer us away, or where we can hide. In the 12th house, we can hide our light. We can not come out and do the things that we really want to do, because I almost didn't do a YouTube channel because I'll be quite honest with you, Cancer, like I did not want to feel the disappointment of my channel not taking off. I almost didn't do it. But then I have a whole story on why I started it. But it happened for me when Uranus was entering my 11th house of social media platforms. And I had to say yes because I had a really hard Pluto transit. And I was like, everybody needs to know about Pluto transits. You know about this, Cancer, because when Pluto was in Capricorn, it opposed your energy. opposed your rising sign. If you have any other energies in Cancer, your moon or your sun, that was a really, really hard transit, right? Any of the Pluto, it opposed my moon and my rising, and those were really, really painful transits. So after that, I was like, I need to talk about Pluto. People need to know more about Pluto, and that's why I started my channel. That was a bit of a diversion, but I trust when things like that come through that they come through for a reason. So let us see what the cards have to say for you. Big picture with Uranus now transiting the 12th house for Cancer rising. I really want you to see this, or I want to encourage you to see it as an awakening. That's what I see this as. And I know if you have planets or points in the 12th house, as I do, I know that when Uranus makes a conjunction to one of those planets or points, it can be a sudden, very challenging experience. I know that. I've already experienced that. So yes, and we end up creating positive life changes as a result. Not that it makes it any easier, but let's see what your cards have to say. Beautiful Cancer. All change with Uranus is for our awakening, for sure. Or to shed a pattern or habit that just isn't serving us. Cancer for April. Your card is, one of my favorite cards in this deck, the Heart Guardian. Yes. Love and let yourself be loved. Cancer, this is such a beautiful card for us. Love and let yourself be loved. Wow. Love is on offer for you in deeper, more fulfilling ways, especially when you love and let yourself be loved. This could be shedding a skin. This could be releasing fears. This could be opening up to a new friendship or partnership, opening up to deeper levels of self-love. As you can see, she is wrapped in this gorgeous red cloak, and her heart is shining deeply and brightly. The Heart Guardian. Beautiful Cancer. If anything that I shared resonates for you and you want to share in the comments, I would love to hear. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini. What I love for you this month. The Libra and Aries energies, the full moon in Libra, the new moon in Aries, and all the planets that we're going to have, 7 to be exact, including the sun and the moon on the new moon, are all going to beautifully harmonize with your energy. Sparks could be flying for you this month for sure. Plus, Venus is going to enter your sign, Gemini, and I have my natal sun in Gemini, by the way. Venus will enter our sign in Gemini on the 23rd of the month, and all I can say is I love Venus and Gemini. How can we not? How can Gems not love Venus and Gemini? That is a wonderful, to me, that transit goes way too fast, but we can enjoy it while it's happening. So lovely for our social lives usually, or for our creativity or anything else that sparks, the magic and synchronicities, sometimes romance. It's just, I love Venus and Gemini. And then the biggest news for you is Uranus returning to Gemini to stay until 2033. That is freedom calling you. Gems love freedom, and freedom is calling even more. If you haven't already felt that restlessness, that need for freedom, you're going to feel it for sure when Uranus is in Gemini to stay. So let's break it down. We have a full moon in Libra, which trines your energy, the best aspect you can have, an ending, culmination, full circle moment, a manifestation. In your 5th house of love and romance, what is not to love here? Creativity, children, sparked, fun, freedom, comforts, pleasure. This is your unbridled, free expression, saying yes to the part of you that wants to dance freely and, just do what you want to do. Like, girls just want to have fun. And I don't mean just girls, like people, but that expression, right? To me, that expression is very Gemini. We just want to have fun. And of course, Gemini is an intellectual air sign too. So there's a lot more than just fun going on, but we are multifaceted, right, Gems? But this is also your inner child delight. So full moon here can be something blooming, something bearing fruit for you for sure. Or it can be an ending. It could be in the end of a romance. It could be the end of something for a child. It could be the end of a creative project, or, you graduating from it, you putting it out into the world, something again coming to fruition. Then we have a new moon in Aries. This is where we will have 7 planets, including the sun and the moon in Aries. This is a lot of fire energy, very, very intense. Mars and Saturn will make an intense conjunction. I talk about that in part 1. I will talk about it at more length in a separate video that I'll do for you. But it's happening for you in your 11th house of the world. The world is your oyster. Hopes, wishes, and dreams, fulfillment, what will fulfill you. Gemini, you are really being fired up right now with this new dream. That's really the 11th house big picture. What is your new dream? With so much energy in Aries, something is probably calling to you. What is calling to you? It could have to do with community, could have to do with friends, meeting like-minded people or gathering like-minded people together to launch something, to do something together in a group, or online dating, branding or promoting a product or a service, a social media platform, putting a message or your wisdom or your enthusiasm out through a social media platform, changing up your friendship life in some way, or just bringing more people who support you into your life. It is a brand new cycle. That is the 11th house. It is a fresh new cycle. Also long-term financial gains. So you could be really focused on any of those things during this new moon. And of course, new moons are always about reflecting and setting intentions for what you want to manifest in the next cycle going forward. The new moon in Aries will culminate 6 months from this April time. So April's the 4th month. That puts us into October. I'd have to look that up to see exactly when the full moon in Aries will be. But that's when you might have a culmination of whatever you're really dreaming about. And I know if this is a big project, it may not be finished in 6 months. I get that. If it's something really big, like if you want to build a house or something, or you want to build, I know that this is not the 4th house of home, but if you want to, you know, build something, because Aries energy can be that. It can be. It is new territory for all of us. It is a hero's journey for sure. And I talk more at length about this in my Saturn, Neptune, and Aries video if you want more on what could be happening for you. But it could be really big. It could be a really big dream that I just want to validate. If you're saying 6 months, maybe I'll get one step of the project done in 6 months, that would be understandable as well. Or you could be saying 6 months is a long time. What? This is Aries energy. I want it faster. And yes, sometimes we have a mini culmination 2 weeks later after this new moon. So that could happen too. Now, the sun will leave Aries and enter Taurus on the 19th, and then Venus will follow suit on the 23rd. And by that time, you will have the sun and Venus in your 12th house of the mystical, magical world, the ethereal realms. When Venus is in the 12th house, sometimes we can have a lot of nostalgia going back to our past. The 12th house is, connected to the last sign of the zodiac, and it's karmic and fated relationships. Sometimes it is, it's definitely our deep psychic intuition. But, the idea that all lifetimes are happening at the same time. Very difficult to wrap our human mind around. It is for my human mind to imagine that right now I'm living different lifetimes. Very hard to imagine that. The idea that time is fluid and there is no past, present, or future. The reason that I bring this up is that we can have these like flashbacks to, or deja vu experiences, or like really intense dreams, lucid dreams, when we have transits in our 12th house, that take us back to a time that either we recognize as a past life or not. And the sun and Venus transiting through the 12th house can bring quite a bit of illumination, especially the sun. And it can have to do with money, love, finances, pleasure, comforts with Venus transiting here. It could also be that you are formulating a new identity, the sun, within a spiritually based career, such as working in a hospital, working in a prison, especially using your healing energy to help others. Also writing a book that's based on your own, that you're channeling, or any kind of channeling work, mediumship, palm reading, anything in which you are reading tarot cards or channeling astrology, for example. So, it could be a time that you have a spiritual awakening. You could be meeting somebody that then turns out to be like in some way, it could be complicated, not necessarily, but when we have Venus transiting our 12th house, that's the hidden realms. Sometimes maybe the person is just out of a relationship and they don't want to go public with your relationship, for example. Like you could feel like you have to somehow keep it hidden, or you want to keep it hidden. It could be that too. But this is a good transit to release any kind of self-doubt or self-sabotaging behaviors, escaping into unhealthy fantasy, escaping just because you don't want to feel your feelings, for example, any habits that just don't feel in alignment with what you truly want. Beautiful gem. And then finally, but I have to say, I really love the Sun and Venus going through the 12th house. I do have a lot of 12th house planets, so that's part of it maybe for me, but I find that I get a lot of illuminations. My dreams become really interesting. You can have wonderfully fulfilling dreams, I have to say, with the Sun and Venus going through your 12th house. And you really can awaken to things that will move you forward in your life. Finally, Uranus will return to Gemini. And this is, of course, your transit, Gem. It's a really big transit for you. It's very important. I already touched on this at the beginning of your reading, but Uranus in your sign is change in your first house, which is your identity, your status, relationship status, or just your, like you could go with Uranus going into your first house, you could go from being single to married, or from being married to single, or you could change your sexual orientation even. You could, a lot of things could change for you on a very deep level, because this is not just our physical body. It's our vitality, it's our health. You could have something come up during this transit. This is any time between now and, or already happened last year potentially, because I'm sure you know that Uranus was already in Gemini from July to November of 2025. Anything that already happened for you, anything that is going to happen, or that, could happen if you have early degree planets in your sign in Gemini, 0 to 1, especially, maybe 0 to 3. You could feel this fairly soon, or right away, or fairly soon after Uranus returns to Gemini at the end of April, or any time between that time and 2033. It can affect any area of your life because it's your first house, and your first house is an angle of your chart. And so it can activate the other angles of career, home, family, relationship, partnerships, especially. And it wants to free and liberate us. It wants to up-level us. It wants us to have a better life. It wants to open up our mind. It wants us to shift our perspective and to feel more free in our lives, and especially in any roles that we have. It will free us from a role if it is debilitating or holding us back in any way. And sometimes it's a gift in strange wrapping paper, as my colleague Darren Wiseman calls it. We don't always see right away, why did this happen? We don't always see why it's in our best interest, but we will. Okay, Gem, let's see what the cards have to say for you for April. Beautiful Gemini. Your card is... Ooh, I love it. I love it. The Seer. It says, I need my glasses because it's just really dark right here beneath me. It says, see beyond the current situation. The Seer. Wow. When I see this, I feel like this is, so there is that message of there's something for you to see that's you can't see directly if there's any situation that is difficult for you, or where you just you're not getting answers. You're not getting the answers that you need if you feel blocked in any way. There's that. But also, I think this is a validation for your intuition. I think this is a validation of your psychic abilities, Gem. For some of you, for sure. And your ability, some of you, to make a vocation out of that. Get paid for that if you want to. I know not everybody wants that, but at the very least, this is validating and acknowledging, affirming that you are a seer. You are a seer, beautiful Gem. And how perfect for Uranus and Gemini, right? Uranus, the planet of awakening and seeing from a new perspective through your 12th house of the psychic realms, the ethereal realms, see beyond the current situation. How perfect for that transit. If you want to claim this in the comments below or anything else you want to share, I would love to hear. Happy April. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for the April astrology and your horoscopes for the month. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for giving it a thumbs up, for sharing, for commenting, for hyping, and for subscribing in all the ways that you help support the channel and get the videos out to more people who love astrology. You really, truly, deeply support my work, and I am incredibly grateful to you for that. If you'd like to do an astrology consultation with me, go to my website, check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. That should give you a sense of whether you feel called to book a reading. We can do a heart's desire, a life purpose, a natal chart, or a relationship harmony reading. Alternatively, you could book a 90-minute astrology consultation if you would like to do a deeper dive on both your natal chart and the transits that are going on for you and anything that is most up for you right now, anything important to you. I like that we have an extra 30 minutes with that to do some coaching. So I can offer you encouragement, advice if you'd like that, and more ways to work with the transits that are going on for you. I also offer clarity coaching sessions. If you need answers right now, if you need clarity, I would love to support you. The links to my coaching and my astrology pages are in the description box below, and it will be my absolute joy to meet you on Zoom. I have a free gift for you. That free gift is a soothing guided meditation connecting you to your spiritual source, your guidance, the unconditional love of the divine. The divine also has a gift for you that you will receive in that meditation. If you'd like to receive that, go to my website, sign up to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates for free, and you'll get my free instant download meditation at the same time. My beautiful friend, let me know how you are feeling, what you're thinking, sensing about April's astrology. And until my next video, I'm sending you all my love.